Chapter 39-37. Several figures appeared from the crack, and the one walking in front was Zichin. He looked down from above, and the two of them looked at each other. How is this possible? His face was pale, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. There were several Earth Soul Realm cultivators outside, so how could they come in? Such a huge commotion had awakened Xiao from her daze. After seeing Zichin and the others, her eyes lit up a little. At this moment, Yan Jinlin could only see Zichin, Shanya, Lan Gumeng, and Old Tang. As for Wan He, who had attacked earlier, he turned around and looked at the people around him. His expression was very relaxed, and the golden saber in his right hand was leaning on the ground. The people from the Yen clan all stayed 300 meters away, not daring to take a step forward. The Earth Soul Realm cultivators who had appeared earlier had all become corpses, and the two halves of their corpses had fallen to the ground. Under such circumstances, who would dare to come forward to die? Fortunately, the other party did not continue to attack, or they would have scattered like birds and beasts. Zichin flew down from the crack, and the smell of blood inside made him raise his eyebrows slightly. He looked at Xiao, who had an abnormal expression, and asked, "Are you okay?" Xiao shook her head. Zichin looked forward again and saw the two old men, but they were too miserable. "We're not late, right?" Yan Jinfeng laughed and said, not late at all. In fact, you far exceeded my expectations. I originally thought that I would have to suffer a few more months of torture before you could return." Yan Jinlin said in disbelief. "You guys colluded with each other." "If we colluded with each other, do you think we would be willing to let Xiao suffer?" This time it was Daoist-Chin who spoke. He, who was still lacking in energy, seemed to have recovered a lot. "We're not like you, so cold and heartless." A ray of light flew out from the darkness and swept past Daoist-Chen's body. The restriction chains shattered, and then the light flew past Yan Jinfeng, unlocking the restriction on his body. It was a flying sword, and it finally returned to Daoist-Chen's side and disappeared. Looking at the two who had escaped in an instant, Yan Jinlin's eyes widened. Beside him, Zhu Biao took a few steps back in fear. "You want to ask us why we continue to suffer here when we can escape, right?" The one who spoke was Xi Jinping, and he answered his own question. "Because I want to catch all of you in one fell swoop. Only then can I eliminate all future troubles. I will never allow the same thing to happen again." Yan Jinlin's eyes were filled with despair. Clearly, he had not expected such a thing to happen. He glared at Daoist-Chin. "It's you again, isn't it?" Daoist-Chin said, "I only predicted that the Xi family would face this calamity. As for the source of the calamity, I really don't know." "Damn you!" Xi Jinlin charged towards Daoist-Chin. Daoist-Chen's body glowed with light. He was actually an Earth Soul Realm cultivator. Xi Jinlin's forward figure suddenly turned and directly attacked Shijiao, who was beside him. This change was completely unexpected. At this moment, Yan Jinlin's eyes were filled with madness. Clearly, he didn't want to die here. He wanted to take Shijiao as a hostage. This way, he might have a chance at survival. "Second brother, you're courting death." Xi Jinping roared angrily, but it was too late to save him. At this moment, a black staff appeared in front of Yan Jinlin. The others couldn't react in time, but Zichin could. The black staff suddenly released rays of purple light, and a powerful aura emerged. With a loud boom, Zichen's body slid back, and the hand holding the staff trembled. After all, he was only at the human soul realm. It was still a little difficult for him to block an attack from an Earth Soul Realm cultivator. Yan Jinlin took 2 steps back. With these 2 steps, his fate had changed from life to death. Daoist-Chin and Xi Jinping stepped forward at the same time to stop Yan Jinlin. Zichin put away the staff and glanced at Zhu Biao, who was about to sneak away. Zhu Biao's expression changed, and his eyes were filled with fear as he stood there, not daring to move. The situation was hopeless. You'll die a horrible death for ruining my plans. Yun Jinlin glared at Zichen with resentment, as if he was looking at an irreconcilable enemy. This time his perfect plan had been ruined by Zichen just like that. Even his slim chance of survival had been destroyed by Zichen. Jinlin, it's already come to this. It's better to speak less. Daoist Qin sealed Yun Jinlin's strength and then gestured for him to go forward. Yun Jinfeng walked in front. When he reached the entrance of the cave, he saw Wan He, who was holding a saber and intimidating everyone. His expression changed slightly. It's actually you. Wan He nodded and smiled. Does this count as you owing me another favor? You little brat, you still dare to ask me for a favor? Yun Jinfeng scolded jokingly. Aren't you in seclusion in the holy mountain? Why are you willing to come out? Wan He gently lifted the golden saber and put it down again. Yun Jinfeng, who understood what he meant, sighed. You're really amazing. At this time, Zichen and the others had already walked out one after another. Yun Jinfeng no longer chatted with Wan He. A jade pendant appeared in his hand. The next moment, he threw the jade pendant into the air. Countless ripples extended in all directions, forming a strange vibration that spread into the distance. When Yun Jinlin saw this scene, his heart was already dead. This was using the authority of the patriarch to start summoning all the higher-ups of the Yun clan. As the vibration passed, the identity tokens carried by the higher-ups of the Yun clan also vibrated. This was the patriarch's summon, so everyone had to return. At the same time, figures flew out from all directions of the Yun clan. Among the people around, many of them had blank looks on their faces, not knowing what was going on. Greetings, patriarch! It was unknown who shouted, but many people knelt on one knee. Then the others around them followed suit one after another. During this time, they even put away their weapons. Everyone knelt down. It was a sea of black, showing their absolute loyalty. Yun Jinfeng waved his hand, and the token returned. After putting away the token, he turned to look at Xiao Er. Xiao Er, follow everyone to the Undrunk restaurant first. When this matter is over, bring your friends over as guests. Xiao Er nodded, but she was still in low spirits. Yun Jinfeng gently patted Xiao Er's head and said earnestly, Silly child, don't let your imagination run wild. You'll be fine. Xiao Er nodded again. Next, the Yun clan would definitely welcome a large-scale purge. It was indeed not appropriate for everyone to stay here. Thus, after Zichen bid farewell to the old man, the group left. Along the way, everyone moved aside one after another, and the tense atmosphere that they had when they entered earlier had long since vanished. Chapter 39-38. On the way back, Xiao Er was clearly not in high spirits. She seemed to be in a daze. Lan Gumeng and Shan Ye comforted Xiao Er one after the other. They believed that no one would be in a good mood after such a big thing had happened to the Sea clan. Zichen walked at the back. He was still adjusting his breath. One he had already put away his golden saber. He glanced at old Tang beside him and said, Who do you think is scheming against whom this time? Old Tang shook his head. I don't know. Wan He smiled. Guess. Old Tang glanced at Wan He. You weren't like this before. Well, I've been on the mountain for too long. Naturally, I'll look for some fun after leaving the mountain, Wan He said with interest. Guess quickly. Is there a need to guess? Many years ago, the Sea clan suffered a great loss. Do you think they'll be willing to accept it? Old Tang said indifferently, this time it should be a trap within a trap. They think they're better at scheming than others. But not everyone in the Sea clan is stupid. Perhaps they've been waiting for this day for a long time. This time, there's a snake coming out of its hole. Also, who is that Daoist Qin? The Sea clan has provided good food and drinks for so many years, but he still caused the Sea clan to fall. How can he swallow this? Perhaps he's been thinking about how to take revenge all these years. Otherwise, how can his hair be so white? This time he's really ruthless. Not only did he put the Sea clan in danger, he also lured the demons out of their hole. He even schemed against us. Perhaps before Zichen entered the Bamboo Sea world, he had already predicted this day. When he laughed. Just a trip out, and I have already encountered this kind of thing. How lively. Then he shook his head and said regretfully, "It's a pity that this has nothing to do with me. Say, there are so many troublemakers in the world. Why hasn't anyone come to find trouble with me?" Old Tang was speechless. This was the first time he had encountered someone who thought he had no trouble. However, when he thought of the other party's personality, Old Tang felt relieved. Those people back then were simply courting death. The two of them didn't try to suppress their conversation, so the people in front of them could hear them clearly. Compared to Zichen's earlier prediction of danger, Old Tang's prediction was more realistic. Shijia's mood gradually improved. It seemed that her grandfather still remembered her parents. This time it could be considered as revenge. When he arrived at the Undrunk restaurant, the people here were exceptionally polite. He wondered if they had received the news in advance. The other party arranged individual rooms for everyone, but Lan Gumeng refused. She and Shanya gave up their own rooms and stayed with Shijio. Shijio was in a bad mood and needed extra care. Zichen and the other two stayed in their own rooms. They didn't need to comfort each other, and they didn't want to be disturbed. After returning to his room, Zichen continued to adjust his breathing. Because he had been too worried about Xiu's safety during the battle, he had used up a lot of energy. This was also because when he had dealt with those Earth Soul Realm experts along the way. Although they were both in the Earth Soul Realm, when he was ridiculously powerful. And the reason why he could rush to the Fang clan to save him was probably because of the token. One, he was like Li and Old Tang, his protector, and the one they were truly loyal to was Lan Gumeng. After all, the one who left the token was the Lan clan's patriarch. After recovering, Zichen took out a jade pendant. This was the Holy Talisman art he had obtained on the second level of the Holy Talisman Mountain, summoning Battle Spirit. Even though he had the mysterious Holy Talisman brush, he still hadn't comprehended it for a long time. At the same time, he hadn't comprehended the ultimate power of combat arts. Zichen was comprehending the spell in his room. In Shijio's room, she told her two sisters what had happened. It was the first time the two girls knew about Shijio's background, so they were silent for a moment. Shijio was crying sadly. Lan Gumeng gently patted Shijio's shoulder to comfort her. After a moment, the silent Shanya suddenly said, "Actually, you don't have to be sad. You should be happy." Shijio looked at Shanya, very puzzled. Lan Gumeng was the same. How could she comfort someone like that? Shanya said, "Your parents were harmed. Your grandfather must have felt terrible for many years. This time, he let you enter the Bamboo Sea world because he didn't want you to be in danger. He was willing to be tortured so that he could find all the bad guys hiding in the family. Why was he doing this? Of course, it's to prevent the same thing from happening in the future. It's also to let you smoothly take over the clan in the future. Look, after you came back, all the problems were solved, right?" Looking at the problem from this angle, it seemed to be true. Shijio was only a little frightened and didn't suffer any losses. However, the clan was rid of all future troubles. Shanya said, "Actually, the ones who really suffered were your grandfather and that Taoist. Especially your grandfather. The pain he suffered should be beyond your imagination." Shijio nodded. After Shanya's counseling, she could already understand her grandfather. However, the Sea clan was still in turmoil, so she couldn't go back immediately. Looking at Shijio, who was obviously in a better mood, Lan Gumeng suggested, "Why don't we go shopping?" Sure. Shijio didn't have any objections. Shanya naturally didn't have any objections. This way, she could still calm down. The three women left the Undrunk restaurant and walked on the bustling streets. This city was very lively. The incident in the Sea clan hadn't spread, and only a small number of people knew about it. At this time, the Sea clan's door was closed. The guards who were supposed to appear at the door had all returned to the clan. A thick smell of blood occasionally came from the Sea clan, accompanied by an extremely cold aura. Those who passed by the Sea clan's walls all avoided it. After so many years, the Sea clan once again welcomed a purge. This time, there were even more heads rolling. Among them, there was no lack of the heads of some core members. This time, the current head of the Sea clan, Xi Jinping, showed no mercy. Those who deserved to be killed, from the old to the young, were all killed, even if they could be killed or not. More than half of them were killed, causing the Sea clan members to tremble in fear. During this period, there was naturally some unrest and resistance. However, Xi Jinping, who was already fully prepared, stifled all resistance. As the mastermind of this incident, Shi Jiu's second grandfather's bloodline was completely wiped out. Not a single one was left alive. At the same time, there was also a purge of varying degrees in many of the Sea clan's properties. This time, Xi Jinping deliberately took the risk to make Xi Jinling careless. He wanted those who thought that the situation was over and were hiding in the dark to reveal themselves. Then he would catch them all in one fell swoop. After a full 7 days, the purge finally ended. The Sea clan lost a third of its members. Many of the properties outside also suffered a huge impact. The purge this time was very successful, but the price paid was not small. The loss of assets was enormous. After Xi Jinping finished reading the secret letters sent from different places, a ball of flame appeared in his hand, and all the secret letters turned into nothingness. Pass down the order. No matter the price, we must silence those who escaped. Xi Jinping's eyes were extremely cold. The dignity of the Sea clan cannot be violated. When dealing with traitors, we can only fight to the death. Yes, someone responded in the dark, and then a black shadow disappeared. After dealing with a few more matters, Xi Jinping left the room. Just then, Daoist Chun walked over from afar. When he saw Xi Jinping, he was somewhat surprised. "Are you going out? Everything has stabilized. I'm going to take a look at the Undrunk restaurant. I wonder how Shijiu is doing." Xi Jinping asked, "Are you going?" Chapter 39. 7 days later, the Undrunk Inn welcomed an important figure. This caused a great commotion in the Undrunk Inn. Everyone was in danger. After all, the news of the bloodbath a few days ago had already spread. Even in the Undrunk Inn, there were victims of the bloodbath. The tragic scene was still vivid in everyone's mind. Now, the head of the family had come personally. Was he going to do it himself? However, they soon realized that the head of the family was only here to find someone. In a private room that only the head of the family could open, the current head of the Xi family cupped his fists toward Zichen and the others. He said, apologetically, "I've troubled you all this time. If I've offended you, I hope you won't take offense." Beside him, Daoist Chin also followed suit. When he waved his hand and said, "Don't give me that. If you really felt guilty, you wouldn't have used this fool back then." Zi Chen was slightly startled. Was this fool talking about him? Xi Jinlin laughed. There was no trace of apology on his face. It's rare to see someone like that. Today's wine is enough. During the banquet, Shijiu sat beside Xi Jinlin, while Daoist Chin sat on the other side. It could be seen that the two seniors doted on Shijiu. How was the trip to the Bamboo Sea World? Xi Jinlin took the lead and asked. As expected, he didn't have any intention of apologizing. Zi Chen simply recounted what happened in the Bamboo Sea, but he was quickly interrupted by Shijiu. "You're wrong. Let me repeat it." Sure enough, when it came to Shijiu, her description was much more vivid. She also described some of the details of the battle in detail. Of course, she didn't mention the scene where she blocked the sword for Fang Wulian. This was probably the main reason why Shijio interrupted Zichen. She was worried that he wouldn't know how to speak and say something he shouldn't. Zichen smiled faintly and didn't expose him. After knowing what happened in the Fong family, Si Jinlin and Daoist Chin laughed again. Si Jinlin said emotionally, "I've heard about Fong Lian's matter, but I'm not sure. I've always seen him as a legend. I didn't expect him to have such an encounter and be able to endure for so many years. His temperament is really good. Now that he's in charge of the Fong clan, it's not that bad." Zichen nodded. The most commendable thing about Fong Lian was that, after enduring and suppressing for so many years, he didn't lose his rationality and change his temperament when he erupted. Then Yun Jinlin changed the topic. "However, the Fong clan is unlucky to have met you, Wanhee. It's fine if Golden Blade Wanhee doesn't appear, but if he does, it's a chaotic world." Wanhee smiled and said, "Are you praising me or scolding me?" Ma Jinlin glared at him and said, "You brat, you're still so stubborn." "Of course I'm praising you." Judging from the tone of their conversation, it was obvious that they were once very familiar with each other. Shijio asked curiously, "Grandpa, was that knife user very famous in the past?" Li Jinlin did not find it strange at all that Shijio had used this tone to address Wanhee. This was because Shijio had also talked about the hardships on the road, which made the old man's heart ache so much that he almost cried. He almost pointed at Wanhee's nose and scolded, "How can my precious daughter suffer such torment?" However, speaking of Golden Blade Wanhee, he was naturally very famous. Not only did he become famous at a young age, he was also second to none. In that era, he was a truly amazing person. Zichen was not clear about Wanhee's origin. He had asked old Tang in private, but the other party did not tell him. At this time, Zichen was also very curious when Shijio asked about Wanhee's origin. Seeing that Li Jinlin seemed to really want to explain, Wanhee immediately waved his hand and said, "Forget it, it's all in the past." "Why bring it up again?" Li Jinlin said discontentedly. "So what if it's in the past? Tell them so that they can broaden their horizons and have a goal. Don't think that you're invincible all the time." After 3 rounds of wine, Li Jinlin opened his mouth and talked about Golden Blade Wanhee's many achievements. This was how the name Golden Blade came about. It had to be said that Wanhee, who became famous at a young age, was really invincible in the world. Suffering from no enemies, he finally chose to go into seclusion in an attempt to break through to a higher realm. Naturally, things did not end there. The turning point happened more than 100 years ago. At this point, Li Jinlin deliberately glanced at Zichen, which surprised Zichen a little. At that time, something big happened on the sacred mountain. All the forces were paying attention. Li Jinlin's tone suddenly became serious. In the eyes of outsiders, it was just a competition. However, in the eyes of many forces, it was a big gamble. Zichen's expression changed slightly. According to the time, he seemed to be able to guess what had happened. It was a battle of fighting techniques. You all know the result. Li was defeated by Sacred Rao, and the Sacred Mountain Gambling House changed hands. However, this is only one of the things that most forces know. There's still some inside stories that no one knows. Li Jinlin glanced at Wanhee and found that his expression was still calm, as if he had already let go of what had happened in the past. Just as the force behind Sacred Rao was about to take over the Sacred Mountain Gambling House, when he heard the news and came out of seclusion, Li Jinlin shook his head and sighed. It was a bloodbath. Wanhee killed from beginning to end. Countless heads rolled. Even a few Earth souls died. If not for someone from the Sacred Mountain stopping him, Sacred Rao himself would have been killed. This is why the Sacred Mountain Gambling House did not fall into Sacred Rao's hands in the end. The impact of that battle was great and caused quite a stir. Unfortunately, only a few people knew about it. After that battle, Golden Blade Wanhee entered seclusion on the Sacred Mountain again. When Oli was defeated, he was still able to leave the Sacred Mountain City alive. In addition to old Tang's help, there was also Wan He's contribution. He had killed so many experts that Wan He could not pursue Oli with all his strength. Hearing Li Jinlin's words, everyone was shocked. Although they did not see the battle with their own eyes, they could still imagine Wan He's imposing figure in that battle. But what puzzled Zichen was, why did Wan He help Oli? One had to know that the sacred mountain had always maintained a neutral position in that matter. After all, it was a fair bet. As if guessing Zichen's doubts, Li Jinlin explained with a smile. As for why Wan He helped, the reason is very simple. His surname is O, and his full name is O Wanha. However, he became famous too early and became famous for his golden blade. After that, he went into seclusion for a long time. So many people forgot about this matter. Zichen suddenly opened his eyes wide and looked at Wan He in shock. His surname was O, so he was from the O family. Was he from the same family as O Li? O Li is my younger brother. Although he is a good-for-nothing, I have to say that even if he lost the gambling house in that battle, he was not wrong. O Wanha looked at Zichen and said with a smile, "You are the martial arts successor he chose. Now that you are in danger, I naturally have to go down the mountain. He is the young master of the O family. He chose you, so you are also the young master of our O family." Zichen recalled that when he was in the Li family, when he had said something similar and called him young master. Chapter 3940. O Li used a saber, and so did Wan He. The only difference was that Wan He didn't learn any fighting techniques. As an aristocratic family, it was undoubtedly a joke that their direct disciple didn't know any fighting techniques. Therefore, even if Wan He was a young genius, there were still all kinds of doubts. As a result, O Wanha became Golden Saber Wan He. It seemed that he deliberately wanted to avoid the O clan. Many years later, many people forgot that the declining O clan still had O Wanha. Otherwise, the forces that controlled Sacred Radiance wouldn't have dared to target the O clan. Although the O clan suffered great losses at that time and even lost the Sacred Mountain Casino, the forces behind Sacred Radiance suffered even greater losses and were almost exterminated. This was also the reason why the old ancestor of the Fang clan didn't dare to have the slightest thought of resistance after hearing Wan He's name. If they didn't deal with it well, the Fang clan might be destroyed. Several people were surprised by Wan He's identity. However, with the relationship between them and Oli, when they looked at Wan He again, their eyes were obviously more affectionate, as if they were seeing a family member. Yuan Jinlin invited Zichen and others to visit the family. Zichen nodded, indicating that he would definitely visit. After eating, the three girls went shopping again. With Xiao as the host, there were endless shops in the city and endless delicacies to eat. Walking out of a shop, Shania was holding an accessory in her hand. She bought it earlier and was very happy. Her gaze swept through the crowd. It was not strange that there were unfamiliar faces. Suddenly, Shania blinked as if she saw a familiar face. But in the next moment, that face disappeared. Was it an illusion? Shania was slightly startled. "What's wrong?" Lan Gumeng looked at Shania. "I seem to have seen a person." Shania said, "Who?" "Ghost King." "Ghost King." Lan Gumeng had seen the Ghost King once. At that time, he wanted to be the Oriole, but he didn't succeed. Didn't the other party escape from Luo Wei City? How dare he come here? Didn't he know Zichen's current prestige? If they dared to appear, it would be a matter of a stick. Lan Gumeng scanned the surroundings with her sole remembrance, but didn't find anything. "Are you hallucinating because you drank?" Lan Gumeng asked. "It's possible." Shania nodded. Because her vision was blurred just now, she couldn't be sure. She had indeed drunk some Buzue Xian when she accompanied Si Jinlin. This was just an interlude, and it didn't affect the rest of the three's journey. They strolled until the sky turned dark, and then the three of them went back. Zichen was sitting in a room. On the table in front of him was a whole row of blue crystal coins. At this moment, these blue crystal coins were disappearing piece by piece. The speed at which they disappeared was almost the same. Zi-chan was a little worried because he had two foodies by his side who only ate blue crystal coins. The daily consumption was a huge figure. The foodie you brought can eat too much, and it's useless. Why don't we just throw it away? Little Fairy flew out. When no one was around, it would come out to take a breather. Of course, it didn't forget to belittle the spirit robe. It had already instigated Zi-chin to give up more than once. Zi-chin pretended not to hear it and put another row of blue crystal coins on top. The little sprite immediately flew up, but before it could enjoy the feast, it saw that half of the blue crystal coins had disappeared. It was so angry that it screamed. This matter is over. It's time to leave. Zi-chan gently knocked on the empty table, and Little Fairy disappeared in a flash. After staying for another 2 days, Si Jinlin sent out an invitation for Zi-chin and the others to visit the Si family. This time, as the patriarch, Si Jinlin personally went out to welcome them. It had to be said that the standard was very high. Shi Jiao was very satisfied with this. The wine used during the banquet was all top-notch Buzue Xian, which couldn't be bought outside. When they were about to leave, Zi-chin and Si Jinlin had a conversation about Shi Jiao blocking the sword for Fang Wulian last time. When he first heard about this, the old man was extremely moved, but his emotions quickly returned to normal. I didn't protect her well that time. I hope Senior won't take offense, Zi-chan said apologetically. Of course, he wasn't here to take the initiative to apologize. Si Jinlin also understood what Zi-chin meant. He nodded and said, "If I have time, I will pay more attention to Shi Jiao." "That's good." Zi-chan smiled slightly. "Are you planning to leave?" "I'll leave tomorrow." "So soon?" "We've been delayed for too long. We have to speed up the process. All right, be careful. Have you told Shi Jiao?" I asked Shania to pass on the message. The group left the Si family. Shi Jiao's eyes were red and full of reluctance. Because they were going to leave, it would be extremely difficult to see them again. After returning to the Undrunk Pavilion, Old Tang called everyone together and told them that he was also leaving. "You're leaving?" Zi-chin asked in surprise. "You're not coming with us?" Old Tang shook his head and said, "No, I'm just a bag of old bones. I can't last much longer. From now on, Wanhee will protect you all the way to the north." The two incidents of the Fang family and the Si family made Old Tang feel powerless. As Zi-chen grew, the enemies he encountered became stronger and stronger. This was something that Old Tang had long expected, just like how Oli had escorted him on his last journey and killed Sacred Ray. Old Tang could only send Zi-chen up to this point. The rest of the journey will depend on you all. I believe that in the future, you will definitely be famous in the north. In one day, he had to say goodbye to two people. This made Zi-chin sad. The next morning, Old Tang left. He had already said yesterday that he didn't need anyone to send him off. Zi-chin stood at the entrance of the Undrunk Pavilion and watched Old Tang leave. He didn't have any intention of saying goodbye. Old Tang's figure was a little stooped. Just as he was about to disappear around the corner, he gently raised his hand to say goodbye. He really left. He didn't even look back. At another corner, Xiao appeared. She was here to send them off. Lan Gumeng and Shan had already packed up everything. Wanhee stood beside Zi-chin and said, "Actually, you should go up and say hello because we might not meet again tomorrow. Maybe we really won't meet again." Zi-chin didn't respond. Instead, he walked forward. Lan Gumeng and Shan had already walked out. They saw Xiao and went forward to hug her. Zi-chin stood in the distance and watched. "Not going to hug her? You won't have a chance in the future," Wanhee teased. Zi-chin glanced at Wanhee and went forward to greet Xiao Unexpectedly, she took the initiative to hug Zi-chin. "Take care." Zi-chin smiled and accepted it calmly. "You guys too. I will miss you. If you pass by here, remember to come and see me." Tears welled up in Xiao eyes. "Definitely." Zichen gently patted Xiao Er's head. Cultivate well. I hope that the next time we meet, you will already be an earth soul expert. They parted with laughter. Along the way, there were people coming and going. It wasn't that sad, but there was still sadness. Chapter 39:41. Along the way, there were 4 of them again. One, he replaced Old Tang, and their journey was no longer as easy. Every morning when they woke up, what greeted them was not prepared food, but the light of knife intent. The 3 of them shared the attack, and the speed of their journey slowed down significantly. One, he drove the empty carriage alone, following behind them at a leisurely pace. When the sky darkened, the 3 of them stopped to rest. Sometimes they would eat some food, but most of the time they would cultivate directly. Even though they suffered hardships, the progress of the 3 of them was very fast. After a few days, Zichen noticed that Shanya was a little worried, and her mood was obviously not good. What's wrong? Zichen, who was enduring the knife intent, walked to Shanya. I think I saw someone in the city last time, Shanya said after a moment of hesitation. Who? Zichen was a little confused. Someone who could make Shanya emotional. Could it be an acquaintance? And an acquaintance of Shanya's was naturally a friend. It was the Ghost King. Shanya said, At that time my eyes blurred and I thought I saw him, but it quickly disappeared. Lan Gumeng turned around and said, I think it was a blur. Shanya nodded and said, I think so too, but if it was a blur, why was it the Ghost King and not someone else? Zichen was lost in thought. He had only seen the Ghost King once, but he had a deep impression of him. If Oli had not appeared in time, they would have been dead. Shanya had a deep impression of the Ghost King. When she and Noah came to this world, they were hunted down by the Ghost King's people for 100 years. At that time, Zichen guessed that the Ghost King should be related to the young man, but the young man did not appear, which made Zichen more suspicious. The young man could suppress his realm, but Zichen, who came to this world, could not suppress the realm of others. It was clear that even if the young man was from this world, he was different from everyone else. Shanya's concern was correct. Whether it was an illusion or a real Ghost King, they could not afford to be careless. Lan Gumeng could not understand why Shanya was so worried about a Ghost King at the human soul stage. Even Zichen was frowning at this moment. It could really be an illusion, Shanya said. Don't worry, we just have to be careful. Wan He, who was driving the carriage, did not care about this matter. No matter what kind of enemy it was, as long as he had a saber in his hand, he was not afraid of anything. In fact, he was even secretly hoping that the danger would be even more intense. After all, once he reached that place, endless dangers would await him. In the pitch-black night, Zichen sat cross-legged as soul power from the world continuously converged towards him. His physical body was absorbing soul power to grow, and the soul power in his body was also increasing. With Wan He's help, his progress was great. Shanya and Lan Gumeng were the same. Wan He was sleeping, and his snores were deafening. As the sky brightened, everyone got up and continued on their way. Of course, when Wan He woke up, he did not forget to give the 3 of them a stab as an appetizer. The current Zichen could already fight against an Earth Soul stage, but this Earth Soul stage definitely did not include Wan He. Even if the 3 of them worked together, they might not be able to block a full-powered attack from the other party, let alone him. At noon, they arrived at a lake. There was a small boat on the lake, and an old man in a straw raincoat was fishing in the middle of the lake. Wan He came to the lake and wiped his face. Then he squatted there and looked at the old man in the middle of the lake. Zichen's expression was somewhat guarded. It was not normal for an old man to be fishing in this wilderness. Lan Gumeng and Shanya stood on either side of Zichen and naturally felt that something was wrong. The old man was motionless, like a pine tree in the forest. The small boat under him also seemed to be still. Zichen had the intention to retreat. Wan He was still squatting there, looking at the scene with interest. After about 15 minutes, The fish still did not take the bait. He had lost his patience. He got up, and a large rock appeared in his hand. Without waiting for Zi-Chen's reminder, he threw it far away. With a splash, the large rock fell into the lake, splashing water everywhere. It was like a downpour, hitting the old man's straw raincoat and falling into the small boat. At this moment, the fishing line sank slightly, as if a bait had taken the bait. The old man skillfully drew an arc with the bamboo fishing rod, and a small golden fish landed on the small boat. The old man's laughter rang out. Zi-Chen's expression changed slightly. Only now did he realize that the fishing line was not a real fishing line, but a silk line manifested from energy. Similarly, the hook was also manifested from energy. This combination of hardness and softness was ingenious. Even Zi-Chen, who was in the human soul stage, could not do this. I have been fishing for this golden-scaled fish for 3 months. I didn't expect to succeed today. The old man stood up and turned his head to look at Zi-Chen and the others. If you don't mind, can you return to the villa to rest for a while? Let this old man do his best as a host, and consider it my thanks to you all. Zi-Chen did not expect he to help the old man by a stroke of luck. However, they were in a hurry, and the old man's strength was extraordinary. It was better to avoid unnecessary trouble. Unexpectedly at this moment, he took the initiative to say, "Okay, we're all so tired. Let's go to the old man's place and ask for a drink." Zi-Chen hesitated, but he did not look back. The old man's small boat moved forward. When it reached the lake, the boat shone and doubled in size. He jumped on and then looked back at Zi-Chen. Zi-Chen was a little helpless, but he could only follow. The boat went in the other direction of the lake, and no one needed to paddle. Shanya's gaze was a little strange. Because they were all in the human soul stage, they could fly. Why did they need to paddle? The golden-scaled fish from before was currently swimming in the wooden barrel. Occasionally, when it surfaced from the water, a golden light would suddenly appear. It was very bright. It said that this lake is connected to the bottom of the sea. Occasionally, golden-scaled fish will come here to rest, but it's hard to find. The old man looked at the golden-scaled fish and said with a smile, "This fish comes from the deep sea." It said that it lives in a place close to the core of the earth. It's born with the ability to use the rules, and is extremely extraordinary. For cultivators in the world, it's an amazing opportunity to break through. It can allow a human soul stage cultivator to easily break through to the earth soul stage. Hearing the old man's explanation, Zi-Chen's eyes had a hint of surprise, and he looked at the golden-scaled fish again. The scales on its body seemed to be made of gold, and on its back there was a dazzling golden line that seemed to flow with the light of the rules. This thing can help people break through to the next realm, and it was very easy. At this moment, the 3 human soul stage cultivators were all moved. At this moment, the boat paddled to the end of the lake. A ripple appeared in front of everyone's eyes, and the boat entered the ripple. The few of them disappeared on the lake. Chapter 3942. The boat did not reach the shore. It was still moving forward, and the lake water under their feet rippled. There was actually a different world here. The mountains were high, and the waters were beautiful. The lake water was blue, and from time to time, fish could be seen swimming on the surface of the water. Zi-Chen's expression was strange. What a unique scene! The golden-scaled fish began to jump in the wooden bucket, appearing very active. However, it could only jump out of the water each time, but could not leave the wooden bucket, as if there was a restrictive spell restraining it. Lan Gumeng and Shanya were also amazed. Such a beautiful scene was really rare. The old man laughed and said, "This is my place of water. I built a manor here." There was a white mist in front of them. As the old man waved his sleeve, the white mist rolled and dispersed, and a manor appeared on the mountain peak. The boat reached the shore. The old man picked up the wooden bucket and smiled, motioning for everyone to go ashore. The path up the mountain was a winding stone staircase carved out of white jade. There were some unknown creatures carved on it, which should belong to the creatures of the sea. Walking on the stone staircase, Zichen felt that his footsteps were a little heavy. Some creatures would appear in front of him from time to time, and they were the creatures carved on the white jade. It turned out to be a heart-tempering staircase. Although the quality was not as good as the windsheen path that appeared in the sage heavenly mirror, it was still a great opportunity for most people. Seeing that they walked so easily, the old man was a little surprised. I didn't expect the young heroes' minds to be so extraordinary. At this time, the golden-scaled fish was still jumping. It was unknown whether it was happy or wanted to escape. Zichen's gaze was once again attracted by the golden-scaled fish. Did this little fish really have the ability to help a human soul break through to the Earth Soul realm? But it seemed that there was nothing special about it except that it was beautiful. As if it had noticed Zichen's gaze, the jumping golden-scaled fish suddenly turned its head and glanced at Zichen. That glance was like a vicious stare, but also like some kind of warning. Intelligent beings. Zichen's eyes flashed with surprise. Just as he was about to reach the peak, a golden-scaled fish suddenly appeared in front of Zichen. It came from the stone carvings beneath his feet. The golden-scaled fish's body was covered in golden light, as if the laws of the great Tao were circulating around it. At this moment, Zichen felt that he was closer to the Earth Soul realm than he had ever been before. It was as if he only needed to take a step forward to cross this threshold. A smile appeared at the corners of his mouth, but he did not take a step forward to take the opportunity. Having walked the Windsheen Road before, he naturally wouldn't feel anything when he looked at these stone steps again. It was all an illusion. Lan Gumeng and Shanya did the same, easily reaching the top. There was a trace of surprise in the old man's eyes. Although there weren't many people in his villa, it wasn't easy for a human soul to reach the peak. After arriving at the top of the mountain, the straw cape on the old man's body turned into a beam of light and disappeared. The aura that Zichen couldn't detect before was released, giving Zichen quite a bit of pressure. It turned out that the straw raincoat was also an extraordinary item. When they arrived outside the villa, a beautiful maid took the initiative to open the door and respectfully greeted their master. "We have guests. Let them serve them well," the old man said with a smile. However, he no longer wore the straw raincoat. Instead, there was an indescribably powerful aura around him. "Yes." The beautiful woman lowered her head and said, "Please follow me." She closed the door of the villa. Unexpectedly at this moment, the golden-scaled fish that they had caught earlier seemed to have broken through the seal and leaped out in an instant. The golden-scaled fish landed on the ground and transformed into a 7 to 8-year-old little girl. She was wearing a long golden dress, and her cold and tender face had a natural air of nobility. "Feng Yuza, do you admit to your crime?" The little girl looked at the old man and said angrily. There was a hint of dignity in her tender voice. The old man was slightly taken aback. However, he quickly reacted, and a light flashed in his eyes. Zichen and the others were shocked. It was very unusual for a golden-scaled fish to transform into a human. "You are?" Feng Yuza looked at the little girl in front of him in confusion. "Golden-scaled princess," the little girl said coldly. "Feng Yuza, do you admit to your crime?" Hearing this, Feng Yuza's eyes lit up. The royal golden-scaled fish is the royal golden-scaled fish. They are good at illusions and illusions. It seems that the heavens are treating me well. My luck is really good to the extreme. My idiot can finally be saved. The old man instantly made a move. Soul power surged out from his palm and fell on the little girl's body. The little girl felt pain, and her body began to struggle. Then she transformed back into her original form and fell into the bucket. The golden-scaled fish struggled in the bucket, but this time it had already broken free. The maid from before stood at the side. She was expressionless, but her body was trembling as if she had been greatly frightened. This scene happened so quickly that Zi-chun and the others had no time to react. When they reacted, they saw that Feng Yuze was already in tears. He seemed to be crying and laughing at the same time. His expression was indescribably wonderful. He looked around and seemed to be very curious about the things here. On the contrary, he was curious about the old man. Shanya and Lan Gumeng were at a loss. Obviously, they didn't know whether to persuade him or not. The heavens are treating me, Feng Yuze, well. After so many years of waiting, the royal golden-scaled fish is finally here. The old man, who was crying and laughing, wiped the tears from his face with his sleeve. I've made a fool of myself. I'm really too excited. Everyone follow me. Let's drink some tea first. I'll slowly tell you all about it. The old man carried the golden-scaled fish and walked towards the depths of the manor. Zi-chun and the others followed. However, in their hearts they were all suspicious. Was the little girl from before real or illusions? Coming to the hall, the maid from before began to boil water and make tea. The old man took the bucket and left. He should be placing the golden-scaled fish first. After a while, the maid began to pour tea. The old man also came back quickly. He waved his hand and the maid retreated. You must be very confused. What is going on? The old man seemed to be in high spirits. He said excitedly, I built the Shui Xiu villa here. In addition to self-cultivation, it's actually more for the golden-scaled fish. To be precise, it's for the royal golden-scaled fish that can transform. You've already seen it before. When I put down my bamboo hat and lost my mind, the other party broke out and wanted to affect my mind. Senior, you mean that the previous scene was just an illusion? Zi-chun asked. Whether it was an illusion or not, you should already know when you came up. The old man said, in order to catch the royal golden-scaled fish, I spent too much effort. Over the years, I've caught a few golden-scaled fish, but the royal golden-scaled fish never appeared once. Until today, I've finally waited for it. Even though the old man suppressed his emotions, his body was still trembling. It was obvious that he was excited. Then the old man said, to be honest, I caught the golden-scaled fish not to break through the realm, nor did I catch the royal golden-scaled fish for the realm. I wanted to save people, save the life of my idiot. Chapter 3943. Speaking of his own child, the old man became even more agitated. With snot and tears, he recounted everything that had happened that year. 100 years ago, Feng Yuze's child, Feng Xiaoze, had just turned 16. He had made some achievements in cultivation and was considered a well-known young genius. During one of his travels, Feng Xiaoze came to a lake and met a beautiful woman. The shy young man was shocked by the woman's appearance. He stood there motionless, as if he had been petrified. The woman noticed the young man and his embarrassment. She smiled and asked, "What's your name?" Her voice was very sweet. The young man felt his entire body turn soft. He couldn't speak clearly and stuttered. The woman giggled and said that he was an idiot. "I'm not an idiot. I'm a young genius." Thus, the young man met the woman and had feelings for her. The woman also accompanied the young man. This should have been a good story, and Feng Yuze should have given his blessings. But who knew that the woman would suddenly disappear? It was as if she had evaporated from the world. Feng Xiaoze searched hard, but to no avail. He returned home in a daze, as if he had lost half his life. He couldn't eat or drink. After Feng Yuze asked about what had happened, he found out that something had happened. He came to the lake where he had fished and found the existence of the golden scale fish. Feng Yuze shook his head and said with regret, "I was careless. I shouldn't have let him run out alone. Because that was a curse from Huang Jinlin." Huang Jinlin's curse? Everyone's expression changed. Actually, Feng Xiaozi didn't see a person at all. He only saw what happened in his mind. It was just an illusion or an illusion. His consciousness has been in an illusion for many years. So after he fell into it, he couldn't wake up. All these years, if I hadn't poured my life into his body, my idiot would have died long ago. Ziqin and the others were shocked when they heard this. A fish actually had such a method. What you saw earlier was actually just an illusion. You might not believe it, but this is Huang Jinlin's unique technique. It makes it extremely difficult for others to distinguish between reality and illusion. If you are careless and fall for it, you will suffer a fate worse than death. That's the curse of the imperial golden scale. It's said that every single imperial golden scale that's born will curse a human. The only way to remove the curse is to capture an imperial golden scale, refine its soul power, and inject it into the victim's body. Only then can the victim recover. Feng Yuze immediately stood up and cupped his fists at them, saying, I, Feng Yuze, will never forget this great favor. If you have any instructions in the future, feel free to let me know. As long as I, Feng Yuze, can do it, I will do my best. He sat there, drinking tea without saying anything. Zi Chen hurriedly stood up and said, Senior, there's no need to be so polite. We just happened to bump into each other. This is a great kindness, and I will remember it. When that idiot wakes up, I will definitely ask him to personally thank you. Immediately, Feng Yuze shook his head and said, That's not right. What kind of nonsense is this? Even with the imperial golden scale, it will still take some time for the idiot to wake up. How can I let my benefactors waste time waiting? Quickly get someone to bring me a golden-scaled fish. The beautiful maidservant who had been waiting outside the door retreated. In just a moment, she walked in with a fish tank in her hands. In the fish tank, there was a golden-scaled fish swimming. The luster around its body was not as good as the previous one, and it was even less agile. However, it was a genuine golden-scaled fish. Over the past 100 years, I have been using my own life to prolong the idiot's life. As a result, I have become older and older. However, the idiot has fallen deeper into the illusory array, so I've spent most of my time fishing for golden-scaled fish. Although it's far inferior to the imperial golden scale, it can still sustain the idiot's life for a period of time after refining it. Feng Yuze said, Now that we have the imperial golden scale, it is only a matter of time before the idiot wakes up. This golden-scaled fish is of no use, so I might as well give it to my benefactor. Although it is not as good as the previous imperial golden scale, it can definitely help a human's soul break through to the earth soul realm. As Feng Yuze waved his hand, the maidservant brought the fish tank over. Zi Chen hurriedly waved his hand and said, You can't accept this. Actually, we didn't do anything. Feng Yuze said seriously, Perhaps your actions were unintentional, but to me, Feng Yuze, it is a great kindness. If you had not come here, perhaps the final result would have been that I would have exhausted my life and died here with the idiot. Therefore, I hope that you can accept it. If you are not in a hurry, when the idiot wakes up, I will catch another 2 golden-scaled fish as a final token of my gratitude. Looking at the still hesitant Ziqin, Feng Yuze said, Could it be that benefactor is unwilling to accept it because you want my imperial golden scale? Not at all, not at all. Well, I will accept it. It was difficult to refuse such kindness, so Ziqin could only accept the golden-scaled fish. He was reluctant to accept it because it was too precious. Seeing Ziqin accept the golden-scaled fish, Feng Yuze smiled again. In the evening, he held a welcoming dinner for the 4 of them and took out the best wine in the villa to entertain them. During the banquet, he would sometimes shed tears of sadness as he recounted the hardships he had gone through all these years. The hardships he had gone through made the eyes of Shanya and Lan Gumeng turn red. Ziqin was also deeply moved. Fortunately, in the end, Feng Yuze smiled again. It was like the clouds parting and the moon shining brightly. He finally saw hope and ushered in the dawn. Zi-Chin put the golden-scaled fish in his room. They did not immediately go to rest. Instead, they came to Zi-Chen's room to carefully examine the golden-scaled fish. It was indeed different from what they had seen before. It did not have the agility, but the aura of the rules was very obvious. The three of them were very interested in it. He sat at the side. He had no interest in the golden-scaled fish. He was already in the Earth Soul realm. This item was useless to him. This golden-scaled fish really has such an effect. Zi-Chin turned to look at Wan-He. Wan-He glanced at Zi-Chin and said, "Don't underestimate it." Zi-Chen's eyes widened. "Really? What else? That old man is so old. Did he joke with you all day?" Zi-Chin sucked in a breath of cold air. If it was true, then this was a great opportunity. No matter who refined it, there would be an Earth Soul realm expert in the team. "I don't need it." Without waiting for Zi-Chin to speak, Lan Gumeng was the first to speak. "My realm is still unstable. I don't need it now." "Me too." Shanya followed. "I don't need it either." He sat there. His expression did not change. In fact, this was already within his expectations. Chapter 3944. Since neither of them wanted it, the golden-scaled fish would naturally be Zi-Chen's. If he refined it now, Zi-Chen would quickly advance to the Earth Soul realm. However, he hesitated. Seeing Zi-Chen's hesitation, Lan Gumeng said, "I'm not being courteous. I really don't need it." With that, Lan Gumeng left, followed by Shanya. He stood up and said, "You can see it as an opportunity. It's up to you to choose." He also left. Only Zi-Chen was left in the room. He looked at the golden-scaled fish in the fish tank and fell into deep thought. As if thinking of something, Zi-Chen waved his hand and scratched the fish tank. There were no restrictions on it. The golden-scaled fish inside was still swimming like an ordinary fish. Zi-Chin had killed countless people, even more so when it came to killing beasts. When he was in the Kata world, he even led the people of Kata world to fish and catch beasts. He never thought of himself as benevolent. However, looking at the golden-scaled fish today, looking at the fish that should be his food, he didn't know why he couldn't bear it. In his mind, he couldn't get rid of the thought of that little girl. Looks like this golden-scaled fish is really amazing. I only saw it use its illusion once, and my heart actually wavered. Zi-Chin shook his head and smiled. Then he sat down cross-legged to cultivate. Actually, it was more about cultivating his heart. The next step after the human soul realm was the Earth Soul realm. For Shanya and Lan Gumeng, entering the Earth Soul realm wasn't difficult because they came from this world and were recognized by it. However, Zi-Chin was different. When he entered the human soul realm, he relied on luck. Entering the Earth Soul realm was even more distant. This had nothing to do with one's potential. It was related to the rules of the world. The Earth Soul realm of this world was the Earth Soul realm. It had no special meaning. However, to the descenders of this world, the Earth Soul realm had extraordinary meaning. It represented an 8-star saint spirit and an 8-star saint talisman master. According to Zi-Chen's knowledge, there was no such saint talisman master in the saint spirit domain. Once he broke through, it would be very easy for Zi-Chen to become an 8-star sacred symbol master when he returned. Right now, this opportunity was right in front of him, right in front of his eyes, just inches away. Was he going to miss it just because of that illusion? Even if there was a grudge in his heart, the one who had conjured the little girl was the Emperor Golden Scale. It had nothing to do with the golden scale fish in front of him. Moreover, had he not eaten enough fish along the way? They were roasted, boiled, and even eaten in different ways. There were all kinds of seasonings on top, and it was extremely delicious. I've eaten so many fish, so what if I eat one more today? Not to mention, after eating it, one would be able to advance to the Earth Soul stage, and the path ahead would be practically smooth. Even if becoming the final heavenly soul was still a long way away, he would still be able to save a lot of time. A great opportunity was right in front of him. But why was he hesitating? Chen couldn't calm down and open his eyes again. The golden-scaled fish was still swimming, but it was not lively. "I don't know you, little thing." Chen looked at the golden-scaled fish and said, "I don't know you at all. You are my food. You are my opportunity to break through. The relationship between you and me can only be that you will be eaten by me." Chen stretched out his finger and knocked on the fish tank. "Even if I feel guilty, I only owe that Emperor Golden Scale that knows illusion. I just can't save it. Besides, who knows if that little girl is real or fake? It's just that I can't see through it." Chen knocked on the fish tank with his finger, and the golden-scaled fish inside swam a little faster. Chen said fiercely, "I will eat you tomorrow. I will definitely eat you. After I ask Wan He, I will eat you. At most, I won't eat fish in the future. But I will definitely eat you. Eat you. Eat you. I will definitely eat you." Chen's mood could not calm down for a long time. In the end, he simply stopped looking at it and closed his eyes to cultivate. However, the process was too difficult. The appearance of the little girl would always appear in his mind. Although Chen repeatedly warned himself that it was just an illusion, and that it was fake, he still felt uneasy in his heart. This uneasiness and self-blame made Chen feel guilty towards the Emperor Golden Scale. Therefore, he could not harden his heart and directly refine this golden-scaled fish. There is definitely no problem in this. If there was a problem, one he would have reminded me long ago. Chen calmed his heart. "I think too much. It seems that I have to think about how to refine and break through next." Gradually, Chen seemed to have fallen asleep, and his mind was blank. The golden-scaled fish was still swimming, and there was a faint golden light shining from the water, reflecting on Chen's face. The next day, the sky was bright, and Chen opened his eyes. Last night he was sitting cross-legged and actually slept. Now he was refreshed, and his restless heart from yesterday had calmed down. "You little thing, I'll eat you." Chen smiled slightly and reached out to knock on the surface of the fish tank, and the golden-scaled fish's swimming speed increased again. There was a knock on the door, and Lan Gumeng and Shanya walked in. Unlike usual, the first thing they saw was not Chen, but the fish tank. After seeing the golden-scaled fish in the fish tank, the two seemed to secretly heave a sigh of relief. Chen took in the subtle expressions of the two and said, "The two of you didn't come so early to see if I had broken through, right?" "Of course it's to see you. If there is one more Earth soul in the team, we will be very happy," Lan Gumeng said. Shanya lowered her head. She was not good at lying, especially in front of Chen. Chen said, "How long have we known each other? Don't you have too little confidence in me? It's true that I need opportunities, but I also know what to take and what not to take." Shanya laughed. This was the Chen she knew. "When it comes to such things, I don't feel conflicted at all," Chen said boldly. "Actually, I've been planning to release them for a long time." Lan Gumeng tilted her head and looked at Chen, as if saying, "Why don't I believe you?" Of course, Chen would not say that he had been conflicted for most of the night, and finally made up his mind after waking up from a sleep. He swore that he was not a greedy person. A gentleman loved opportunities and took them in a proper way. A smile appeared on Wan He's face as he stood outside the door. "We've disturbed them for a day. It's time for us to go." Chen held up the fish tank with both hands, wanting to put it away, but found that he did not succeed. He was a little surprised, but did not think much of it. When he walked out of the room, he saw Wan He walking out of the room beside him. "Why didn't you refine it?" Wan He asked, puzzled. "We'll talk about it after we leave." Chen said, "The carriage is still outside. Are we leaving now?" "Yes." Shanya and Lan Gumeng were also prepared to leave. "All right then." Wan He did not have any objections. Chapter 39:45. What is the meaning of this? Foam Yuza looked at the few people who walked out of the room with a puzzled look on his face. Zi-chan said, apologetically, "Thank you for your hospitality, but we have other things to do, so we have to leave." Foam Yuza immediately stepped forward and said with concern, "You haven't refined the golden scaled fish, and you haven't broken through. Isn't it too early?" Zi-chan said it's not early. As for the golden scaled fish, after we leave this place, we will refine it. Foam Yuza said, "No, that won't do. You are my benefactors, and didn't we have an agreement? After my idiot wakes up, I will help you catch 2 more golden scaled fish." "No need. We are already very honored that Senior gave us a golden scaled fish." Zi-chan said with a smile, "We appreciate Senior's kindness. If we have the chance to pass by here next time, we will definitely pay you a visit." Seeing that Zi-chan had already made up his mind, Foam Yuza sighed and said, "If that's the case, then I won't force you. However, since you want to leave, then you should at least refine this golden scaled fish and break through before leaving. This is my wish, and I am grateful from the bottom of my heart." Zi-chan shook his head again and said, "I really don't dare to disturb you anymore. After we leave, we will refine it." He looked at Foam Yuza, and a sneer suddenly appeared at the corner of his mouth. "So you insist on leaving, and you can't stay for a moment?" Foam Yuza's tone changed a little. Zi-chan's smile was still on his face. "We have to leave." Foam Yuza stretched out 2 fingers and said, "In that case, I won't force you. We will settle the karma here and never meet again. You have 2 choices. One is to refine the golden scaled fish immediately, and the other is to kill it now." Zi-chan was slightly startled. What kind of karma was this? "Otherwise, you can stay here and wait for my son to wake up," Foam Yuza said indifferently. "In fact, I don't want to have too much karma with you. If you want to leave now, this is the only way." Feeling the other party's unfriendly tone, Zi-chan looked at Wan-hee and said, "What do you say?" Wan-hee didn't answer and asked, "What do you think?" Zi-chan said, "I don't know much about karma, and I have never heard of this way of settling things. And after coming here, everything is strange. He doesn't care if we really helped him. He only cares if we have refined this golden scaled fish. Maybe there is something wrong with it, but I don't know what the specific reason. Originally, I didn't intend to refine it, and now. As for killing it, it is also impossible." He snapped his fingers and said, "You're smart, so you're not stupid. Since you've seen everything clearly, then the test is over. You can start now." "What do you mean?" Foam Yuza asked, puzzled. Foam Yuza's expression changed. "I invited you into the villa, and you want to kill me?" His hand flashed, and a golden saber appeared. "Stop acting. I know a little about the curse of the golden scaled fish. It is actually very simple to break the curse. That is to transfer the hatred. For example, find another golden scaled fish and let a second person refine it." Zi-chan's expression changed. He looked at the golden scaled fish in the fish tank. "Is this a golden scaled fish? You know this secret?" Foam Yuza was very surprised. He said, "You don't have much time. If you don't call some allies to help, I'm afraid you won't have a chance." Foam Yuza's expression changed again. "Those sea monsters don't scream because they have no fighting power." Foam Yuza's expression gradually turned cold. "It seems that you know everything. I know far more than you think." Hee's voice also became cold. "So, when you took the initiative to open the door and invite us in, your life has already started counting down. Is that so? Then I'd like to see what means you have that you dare to threaten to destroy my Shueisho villa." Foam Yuza waved his hand and said, "You guys go first." From all directions of the villa, figures flew out one after another. They were all women, and each of them was extremely beautiful. Their auras were not strong, and their eyes were dim as they flew over. There was a light of power circulating, and it was a completely different aura. These weak existences were not a match for Ziqin, let alone Wanhee. Ziqin could fight countless of them. Moreover, they were almost emotionless, which made Ziqin suspect that they were all puppets. Wanhee smiled coldly, and the golden saber in his hand had already slashed out. A circular saber arc, emitting a dazzling golden light, scattered in all directions and flew towards the approaching women. Ziqin wanted to warn them, but it was already too late. The saber light landed on their bodies and instantly exploded. The imagined scene of them being split into two did not happen. The saber light turned into saber intent and entered their bodies, causing the women to fall to the ground one after another. They were not dead, but they had temporarily lost their ability to fight due to the torture of the saber intent. Previously, when he had used his finger to trigger the saber intent every day for the three to train themselves. This time he was using the power of the golden saber to train the women. Anything else? Wanhee asked. These are not enough. If you don't have anything else up your sleeves, I don't mind killing you with a single slash. Humph. Foam Yuza harumphed coldly and said, There's no need to hide anymore. If we don't kill them, we'll be in big trouble. As his voice fell, balls of black light suddenly appeared around the manor, turning into black-robed people one after another. Sensing the auras of the black-robed figures, Ziqin's expression changed as he blurted out, The soul-devouring tribe! Kid, you've got a good eye. There's no way I'll let you live. Foam Yuza waved his hand and said, Kill the two men. I still have other uses for the women. The soul-devouring tribe charged forward. Wanhee shook his head and said, You guys are too weak. I came all the way here, and you're using 3 earth souls to send me off? Even if they're different from the rest of the soul-devouring tribe, they're still looking down on me, right? With that, the golden saber light tore through the sky like a bolt of lightning, and an earth soul realm cultivator was sent flying. A strange look appeared on Wanhee's face. According to his original intention, the opponent's body would have been split into 2. Interesting. He smiled faintly. A deep saber mark appeared on the body of the Earth Soul Realm cultivator who was sent flying, but it was not fatal. The energy from the surroundings was constantly gathering towards his body. Chapter 3946. The Earth Soul Devourer clan member was healing his wounds, while the other 2 continued to charge towards Wanhee. As for Foam Yuza, he retreated. He did not attack and chose to watch from afar. In such a situation, there's no need to hold back. Wanhee looked around and said, Kill as many as you can. Ziqin nodded. He carefully put down the fish tank in his hand that seemed to contain the imperial gold scale. His figure then rushed forward. A light flashed in his palm, and the black rod appeared. Since there was no need to hold back, he might as well kill to his heart's content. He swept the long rod in his hand, and a black rod shadow expanded. Several members of the Soul Devourer clan were sent flying. The black light that flowed around their bodies dissipated, and their true appearances were revealed. After landing, they were fine and began to absorb the power of heaven and earth. The black light covered their faces again, and they charged forward again. The Soul Devourer clan had the soul-devouring superpower and could absorb the power of heaven and earth to recover. This was their greatest advantage, and everyone was a top expert. Ziqin's attack did not kill anyone. Ziqin was not surprised. When the second attack appeared, the black rod turned purple. As the rod fell, the purple light flashed, and the members of the Soul Devourer clan were sent flying again. This time they coughed up blood and were seriously injured. After Ziqin attacked, Lan Gumeng and Shanya also attacked. The 2 girls did not hold back, as the Soul Devourer clan was not easy to deal with. Foam Yuza retreated to the back. A black light appeared beside him and turned into a member of the Soul Devourer clan. The plan failed. Foam Yuza's face was gloomy. He thought that the plan was flawless. Who knew that the other party came prepared? The black-robed man beside him said, "I received news that Fong Di's plan failed. It was done by a few young people. One of them is holding a rod-shaped weapon that can change color. It should be them." Feng Yuze said coldly, "They just ruined Fong Di's plan, and now they're here. It seems that they're really courting death." On the battlefield right now, Zichen was displaying his domineering side. As the purple light streaked across the sky, all the members of the spirit goblin tribe that came forward were sent flying while coughing out blood. It seemed like they had the upper hand, but in reality, the damage done to them was not that great because the Soul Goblin clan could recover at any time. Although Lan Gumeng and Shanya had encountered the Soul Leader clan more than once, they did not have a quick way to eliminate the enemy. It was the same for Wan He, even though he had already injured all the Earth Soul Realm experts. However, they were like mechanical puppets that could not be killed. They did not know pain, nor did they know fatigue. They charged forward again. Looking at the battlefield, the man in black said indifferently, "If they don't have any other means, they will definitely die." Yes, just by looking at the battlefield, Zichen and the others would die from exhaustion. But was that really the case? Bang! 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 The purple shadow of the staff swept past, and several members of the Spirit Goblin clan were sent flying while coughing out blood again. However, unlike before, a black light appeared beside Zichen. It was the phantom ghost that Zichen had put away. It flew out like a black lightning bolt and arrived beside a member of the Spirit Goblin clan. It opened its mouth and swallowed it. It could not wait any longer. After Zichen gave the order, it started a massacre. The man in black could not help but change his expression. Feng Yuze cried out, "What kind of monster is this?" He was shocked because the life aura of a member of the Spirit Goblin clan had disappeared. This meant that he was dead. "You idiots! Do you really think that you are invincible?" At this moment, Wan He's voice was heard. The golden saber in his hand began to tremble and let out a buzzing sound. Then, with a flash of golden light, an Earth Soul Realm expert was split into two. He was dead. Shanya's weapon emitted a dazzling light and hit a member of the Spirit Goblin clan. His body was torn into pieces. Lan Gumeng's soul weapon swept past the neck of a member of the Spirit Goblin clan, and his head was instantly separated from his body. When one's injuries reached a certain point, they would naturally die. Such an unforeseen event shocked Feng Yuze. In the blink of an eye, the situation of the battle changed. 3 Earth Souls were killed by Wan He's 3 slashes, but his face also turned pale. As for the other members of the Spirit Goblin clan, they were being killed by Zichen and the other 2. However, just like Wan He, they seemed to be able to kill the enemy in one move, but in reality, they consumed a lot of energy. The phantom ghost's stomach had become round like a balloon. This time even it was full. However, the result of the battle was still very impressive because they had almost wiped out a group of members of the Spirit Goblin clan. The man in black, who had not moved all this time, flew forward. Feng Yuze hesitated for a moment before following. The pale-faced one, he stood with his saber and looked at the 2 approaching people. The man in black looked down at Wan He and said, "You are not weak. Unfortunately, you should not have come here." Wan He said indifferently, "Cut the crap. Use whatever means you have." The man stretched out 3 fingers. "I only need 3 moves to deal with you." Wan He's lips curled into a mocking smile. The expressions of Zichen and the others changed. Seeing such a powerful Wan He, the man still dared to say such words. It was obvious that he was very confident. The man's figure disappeared, and in the next moment he was beside Wan He. Wan He, who was holding his saber, flashed as if he was about to attack. A fist whistled over and hit Wan He's temple. Bang! Wan He's body flew diagonally for dozens of feet, and then slid for dozens of feet on the ground until he hit the wall of the manor. Zichen was shocked and immediately retreated. At the same time, he did not forget to pick up the fish tank. Shanya and Lan Gumeng also retreated and stood beside Ziqin. They could not deal with an opponent of this level. When they looked at Wan He again, he had already stood up. He shook his head, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. The man in black's expression was still cold. His figure disappeared for the second time. A roar sounded from Wan He's side. Wan He, who had just stood up, smashed his head on the ground like a hammer, creating a deep hole in the ground. I can't bear to look at this. Feng Yuze sighed, as if he could already see the scene of Wan He's death. He looked back at Ziqin. Don't worry, it will be your turn soon. Ziqin ignored Feng Yuze and looked nervously at Wan He. If he died here, then the three of them would not be able to live. Wan He's body bloomed with light, and the man in black rose into the air. The third move, soul devouring. A black energy flew out of his sleeve. Like a black dragon, it swooped down towards Wan He. Then, Wan He was devoured, leaving only the black dragon hovering in place. Ziqin's heart sank. Feng Yuze laughed loudly. Lan Gumeng and Shanya were worried. The man in black in the sky, who was originally full of confidence, suddenly changed. The confidence on his face had completely vanished. I thought you could fight, but I didn't expect you to be so weak. Speaking of which, the soul-devouring clan sent trash like you to guard this place. Did they look down on us soul hunters? Countless golden lights pierced the black dragon like sharp blades. A golden saber light cut through the black dragon and flew toward the man in black in the sky. A tiger's roar was faintly heard between heaven and earth. Chapter 3947. The smile on Feng Yuze's face froze. Blood rained down from the sky as the black-clothed man's body was split into two. The soul-devouring black dragon dissipated, and Wan He walked out with his saber. He was bleeding from his 7 orifices and looked very miserable, but his aura was still strong. He glanced at the 2 halves of the corpse and said, "You're not good at killing enemies, but you're good at running away." Then he swung his saber again. A golden light flashed, and a scream came from the half-corpse. It was completely dead. All the soul-devouring clan members hiding here died, just like that. Not a single one was left alive. Only then did the expressions of Ziqin and the other 2 relax. What are you worried about? Since I dared to come here, I'm naturally fully prepared. When he glanced at Ziqin, then looked at Feng Yuze and asked, "How are you going to die now?" "Die? Do you think that's possible?" Feng Yuze said indifferently, "Since I dared to let you in, I naturally have a way to keep you here." Feng Yuze quickly retreated and formed a seal with his hands. Lights lit up around the manor again. These lights soared into the sky and intersected in the air, and an ancient lamp appeared from within. The ancient lamp was black, and the wick emitted a weak light. A powerful aura surged from the ancient lamp, and everyone felt the pressure. "Now, do you still have confidence?" Feng Yuze stared at Wan He and sneered. When he raised the golden saber in his hand, and countless streams of power poured into the golden saber. The golden saber shone brightly, and a golden light soared into the sky. The saber light flew toward the ancient lamp, and a dozen rays of light suddenly flew out from the originally weak lamp. They were like tentacles, grabbing at the saber light. Bang! 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 The tentacles shattered when they met the saber light. After 8 of them shattered, the other tentacles caught the saber light and turned back. The originally dim ancient lamp seemed to have received nourishment and became much brighter. This is called the soul-devouring lamp. It can absorb all power to strengthen itself. Feng Yuze smiled proudly and said, "This is the soul-devouring clan's greatest reliance. As long as this thing exists, you can forget about leaving alive." He swung the golden saber in his hand again. Several saber lights descended, and the light of the ancient lamp grew brighter. Feng Yuze laughed out loud, his face full of mockery. "Continue. Wan, he sheathed his knife and turned to look at Zichen. You try. Zichen was speechless. Even someone as powerful as Wan, he couldn't extinguish the ancient lamp, so how could he break it? Let's give it a try. It might really work, Wan, he said again. Zichen nodded. Perhaps there really was something strange about this ancient lamp. He took a deep breath and poured all of his strength into the long rod. Right now, Zichen was completely focused, so he didn't notice the look of ridicule that flashed through Wanhee's eyes. Shanya and Lan Gumeng saw it, which made the two of them, who were also preparing to make a move, give up on the idea. Wang. He pointed his staff at the sky, and the purple staff shadow soared into the sky. Wherever it passed, ripples appeared in the space. This time, only a few rays of light fell from the ancient lamp, while Zichen's staff shadow only broke 3 of them before they were dragged away by the tentacles and turned into nutrients for the ancient lamp. He still had to return without any success, and was even worse than Wanhee's. The effect is not bad. Unexpectedly, at this moment, Wanhee praised Zichen. Continue. I think this move of yours is very effective. Are you sure? Zichen asked. Wanhee said in all seriousness, Of course. Haven't you noticed that the number of tentacles appearing has decreased? Do it a few more times. When it gets used to it, I'll break the lamp in one fell swoop. Wanhee's expression was very serious, and he didn't seem to be joking. On the surface, his words seemed to make some sense. Thus, Zichen nodded and made a move again. Feng Yuze didn't expose Wanhee's lie, even though he didn't know what this powerful Earth Soul stage meant. And this seemingly smart young man turned out to be a brainless idiot. He couldn't even tell that he was being played. Zichen used his full strength a few more times, but every time the purple staff shadow soared into the sky, it was swallowed by the ancient lamp. Not only did his attack have no effect, it even made the ancient lamp's light stronger. Zichen was a little helpless. He turned back and glanced at Wanhee. Wanhee nodded and said, Not bad. Continue. Zichen's face was a little angry. Are you serious? Wanhee smiled. What else? Zichen said, It didn't work at all. It even made the opponent stronger. Oh, then it seems that it's useless. Rest for a while, then continue. Wanhee said very casually. Zichen was so angry that his face turned white. Do you think I'm an idiot? Wanhee said seriously, You can't praise yourself like that. Uffed. Lan Gumeng and Shanya at the side couldn't help but laugh. Zichen was furious. He was usually the one who called others idiots. In the sky, Feng Yuze also laughed. Idiot is indeed praising you. You're actually more of an idiot than an idiot. He's playing with you. Can't you see? At this critical moment of life and death, when he actually dared to make such a joke. This made Zichen wish for nothing more than to give Wanhee a good beating. How could he not know the immensity of heaven and earth? Of course, he was just thinking about it. After all, the gap between the two was too big. I won't play with you idiots anymore. Feng Yuze glanced at the ancient lamp and said, It has already devoured enough energy. Let's end this farce here. Feng Yuze formed a seal with his hands, and the light of energy disappeared from his fingertips. The ancient lamp in the sky suddenly released an infinite light, as if fire dragons were spewing out from it, falling in all directions. A fiery light shield appeared. Where it was, the space seemed to be burned and turned black. The buildings also disappeared into nothingness. The flame was terrifying. Before it even got close, everyone felt a strong threat of death. At this time, the flame barrier was shrinking. Zichen and the others were also getting smaller and smaller. Quickly think of a way, or we'll die here. Zichen was obviously anxious. Lan Gumeng and Shan Ye also looked at Wanhee. The other party deliberately came here. Perhaps he had already anticipated all kinds of dangers, including this strange ancient lamp in front of them. Death is the only way for you to escape. Feng Yuze smiled indifferently. Under the anxious gaze of the three, when he spread out his hands and said helplessly, "To be honest, I can't break out of here." Zichen was so angry that he wanted to curse. Unexpectedly at this time when he changed the topic and said, "But this girl can." He looked at Lan Gumeng. "Me?" Lan Gumeng was slightly stunned. The flame barrier shrank, obviously faster. When he said, "Time is of the essence, so I won't explain more to you. Follow my hand seals and watch all the movements. There can't be the slightest mistake. Life and death are on the line." When he put away the golden blade and prepared to make the seal, Lan Gumeng copied the fish tank that Zichen gave her and gave Shanya the fish tank. She had never seen this seal before and didn't know what it was used for. But at this time, when he certainly wouldn't lie to her. She completed all the movements meticulously, but there was no reaction. Lan Gumeng was stunned. Zichen said angrily, "You're playing with us again." He didn't respond. Instead, he looked up at the sky with a serious expression. The holy mountain was surrounded by clouds all year round, so people couldn't see the whole picture. Today, a strange force appeared and blew away all the clouds. A light mirror appeared out of thin air. It was the sage heavenly mirror. At this moment, it appeared in its true form. The next moment, the sage heavenly mirror began to shine. Its dazzling light even overshadowed the sun in the sky. A thick and straight beam of light, carrying a vast aura, shot up into the sky and disappeared into the sky. Everyone in the Holy Mountain City and the Four Holy Mountain looked at this strange phenomenon in shock. Why did the sage heavenly mirror launch such a powerful attack? Above the sky where the Shueisho Villa was, a huge light array suddenly appeared. The light array was rotating and bursting with bright light. The next moment, a beam of light appeared and went down. Chapter 3948. Wan He's expression became serious, which made Zichen feel the seriousness of the situation. At the moment of life and death, he would never joke around. However, when he asked Lan Gumeng to imitate his actions earlier, it seemed a little too childish. Where was the rescue? Lan Gumeng finished forming the seal, but she did not have the slightest hope, because she did not feel anything unusual when she was forming the seal. Shanya hugged the fish tank tightly. The golden-scaled fish in the fish tank seemed to have sensed the danger and began to swim faster. Playing tricks. Today is the day you die. Feng Yu's proud laughter came from the sky. The flame that could devour life was still shrinking and would swallow everyone at any time. The sky suddenly lit up. A dazzling beam of light seemed to come from the sky and appeared in the sky above the manor. In the face of this dazzling light, Zichen subconsciously closed his eyes. The beam of light fell from the sky and fell on the ancient lamp. Heaven and earth began to roar. Zichen could not stand firm and swayed with the shaking of the ground. Shanya closed her eyes and hugged the fish tank tightly. The water was shaking. She was worried that the golden-scaled fish would fall out. Lan Gumeng stared blankly at the sky and the beam of light. The dazzling light did not seem to have any effect on her. Wan He's lips curled into a smile. At the same time, he said, "That was close." Feng Yu's face showed a touch of astonishment. Hundreds of rays of light flew out from the ancient lamp and intercepted the beam of light. Popping sounds were constantly heard. When the tentacles touched the beam of light, they exploded instantly. It was like crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. The ancient lamp that could not be broken no matter what broke with a bang. The flame that was about to swallow everyone also disappeared. Thick smoke billowed. The place had become a ruin. Even the entire mountain peak had sunk dozens of feet. The few people in the field were intact, but they were all shocked. Feng Yuza was still standing in the sky. He was not hurt, but at this moment he seemed to have been petrified. This ancient lamp was a Dharma instrument from the soul-devouring clan. It could guard this world. How could it be broken so easily? However, the truth was that the attack that came from an unknown place had actually extinguished the ancient lamp in an instant. The manor that he had single-handedly built was thus reduced to ruins. Zichen was also stunned on the spot. He didn't know where this attack came from, but it was like a stroke of genius that helped them resolve the crisis. Looking around, Zichen saw that the manor had disappeared. Even the restrictions here had been destroyed by that ray of light. He saw the lake he had entered from, and even saw a horse leisurely grazing beside the lake while pulling a carriage. The huge commotion here did not affect it at all. Suddenly, Zichen's expression changed. This was because there were many figures in the original lake. They were like humans who had dived into the water and suddenly emerged. There were quite a few of them. "Who is that?" Zichen's expression changed. Damn it! Feng Yuze suddenly shouted in anger. His face was rapidly aging, as if his life force was being taken away by someone. He quickly took out a straw raincoat and put on. There was also a bamboo hat on his head that covered his whole body. Only then did his face stop aging. Zichen heard the sound and turned around. He just happened to see this scene and could not help but reveal a look of surprise on his face. Didn't they say that his life force disappeared in order to maintain the life of his son, Feng Xiaoze? Beside Zichen, in front of Shanya, the golden-scaled fish in the fish tank suddenly released a dazzling golden light. The next moment, a ray of light flashed, and the golden-scaled fish leaped out of the fish tank and turned into a little girl of 7 or 8 years old. It was the same girl that Zichen had seen yesterday. The restrictions here had been destroyed by the sage heavenly mirror, and her restrictions had been removed. "Feng Yuze, do you know your crime?" As soon as the little girl appeared, she stared at Feng Yuze. Her tone was still as arrogant as before. Zichen looked at the little girl. He still could not tell whether this was an illusion or reality. He looked to the side, and Shanya and Lan Gumeng did the same. They slowly shook their heads. Inadvertently, Zichen glanced down. He did not know when those strange people had approached here. It seemed that they were going to surround this place. They were just one step away from jumping out of the water. Do I know my crime? What crime have I committed? Feng Yuze snorted coldly. At the same time, he tightened his straw raincoat. His face looked even older. You betrayed my sister's sincerity. After deceiving her, you killed her and used her rules to help you break through. You still don't know your crime? There was a cold light in the little girl's eyes. I am a human, and she is a sea monster. We are irreconcilable. Where did her sincerity come from? It was natural for me to kill her to break through. Who asked her to be so weak? But the Golden Scale royal family is so sinister and cunning. You secretly added a curse to my body. Feng Yuze said resentfully, the Golden Scale royal family should be the guilty ones. If it weren't for your curses, would I be able to hide here like this? Listening to the conversation between the two, Zichen suddenly understood everything. This little girl was real. She was a member of the royal family of the Golden Scale fish. She could transform, just like the demon clan in Zichen's world. She had an older sister who was in love with Feng Yuze. However, Feng Yuze killed her or refined her for his own realm. Then Feng Yuze was cursed, and his vitality began to fade. His son, Feng Xiaoze, was just a made-up story he made up to deceive Zichen into refining the little girl in front of him. In this way, the curse of the Golden Scale royal family would fall on Zichen. At that time, Feng Yuze would be safe, and Zichen would become the cursed person. The other party's original intention was to find a scapegoat. This was a trap set up by Feng Yuze for everyone. Unfortunately, Zichen did not fall for it. If you only did it for your realm, then you shouldn't have betrayed my sister. Do you know what the greatest secret of the Golden Scale royal family is? The little girl looked at Feng Yuze with hatred in her eyes, but also pity. She answered her own question. It's your mental state. You won my heart, and I'm willing to accompany you in life and death, forming a heart-binding seal with you. When you encounter danger and your life is in danger, my life can be shared with you, saving your life. Similarly, the laws I comprehended can be shared with you through the heart-binding seal, helping you reach the same realm. Impossible. You're lying to me. You want me to feel guilty, right? Do you know how much effort I spent to kill her at the Earth Soul realm? I almost lost half my life. Now, you're telling me that she can help me break through? All my efforts were in vain. Foam Yuza said sternly, I've long seen through your golden scale royal family's treachery. Your purpose in coming here is to kill me, right? Let me tell you that's impossible, because this straw cape on me has the blood of the golden scale royal family. Those bastards below can't see or hear me. And you, with your puny strength, are worthy of killing me? The little girl's face was filled with sadness. The so-called blood of the golden scale royal family was actually her sister's blood. All these years, Foam Yuza had always relied on the blood left behind by her sister to survive. When she thought of how her sister had entrusted everything, including her life, to such a person, she felt sad and felt bad for her sister. Since I've come to find you personally, I naturally have a way to deal with you. Looking at the crazy Foam Yuza, the little girl put away her sad emotions, and a white pearl appeared in her hand. She cut her finger, and blood dripped onto the pearl. In the next moment, the pearl was dyed in the color of blood. A suction force emerged from the blood-colored pearl, moving forward and landing on Foam Yuza's body. On the surface of Foam Yuza's straw cape, wisps of blood suddenly appeared. These came from the inside of the straw cape, brought out by the suction force. In the next moment, the blood gathered together, forming a person. To be precise, it was a woman. Chapter 3949. The girl was dressed in a golden dress. She was beautiful and luxurious. Her figure was slim and her legs were straight. She stood in front of Foam Yuza barefoot. Her dress swayed and her figure flickered. She had a head of golden hair and a beautiful face. The old Foam Yuza looked at the beauty in front of him. He was curled up under the straw raincoat. His eyes were filled with shock. Lin Yu, it's you? The beauty looked at Foam Yuza calmly, as if she was looking at a stranger. Sister, the little girl shouted. Her voice was trembling, and there was a misty mist in her big bright eyes. The beauty turned around and looked at the little girl. You've finally grown up. Tears flowed out of the little girl's eyes as she sobbed. It took me so many years to find this place. I've made you suffer. Lin Yu, it's you. It's really you. I knew you weren't dead. Do you know how much I've missed you all these years? Foam Yuza said emotionally. The girl called Lin Yu turned around and looked at Foam Yuza. I've seen everything you've done for so many years. Of course, I know how much you miss me and my family. He could only hide in this restricted area. When he went out, he had to wear a straw raincoat and a bamboo hat. Over the years, Lin Yu, who had been attached to the straw raincoat, had heard countless curses and insults. She also saw Foam Yuza clearly. Lin Yu, listen to me. Foam Yuza moved forward and wanted to grab Lin Yu's arm. The beauty was like a fairy in the wind. She floated backwards, and Foam Yuza missed. Sister, the little girl shouted again, and the blood-colored pearl from before immediately flew into the sky. Lin Yu's red lips opened slightly, and the blood pearl entered her mouth. Her originally illusory figure gradually became real. Lin Yu, listen to me. I have my difficulties. Foam Yuza begged. Give me one more chance. This time, I'll turn over a new leaf. We can live like a couple in the future. Lin Yu said softly, it's too late. There's only one chance. You and I are not fated to be together. The little girl said coldly, my golden scale, royal family has never betrayed anyone. Even if I have to sacrifice my life for the person I love, I will not hesitate. However, my golden scale royal family has never let go of anyone who betrays us. Not a single one. Below them, the monsters that had surrounded this place and were still in the water shot a beam of light into the sky. The beam of light landed in front of Feng Yuze, trapping him like some kind of a ray. Inside the formation, Feng Yuze was in a trance. He saw a young man with wounds all over his body. Under the pursuit of the enemy, the young man fled in a panic. His heart trembled as he ran, and he finally escaped to the edge of a lake. Exhausted, he collapsed at the edge of the lake, his aura growing weaker and weaker. I can't die. I haven't taken my revenge yet. I can't die. I can't die. Before he lost consciousness, he muttered weakly. At the bottom of the lake, a golden fish happened to swim past. The young man slowly woke up. At first, he was shocked. He looked around vigilantly and found that he was still at the edge of the lake. However, the pursuers had not caught up. When he moved slightly, he felt pain in his body. When he lowered his head to look at his wound, he found that the surface of the wound was covered with a layer of transparent liquid. Strands of vitality entered his body and healed his injury. "You're awake," a gentle voice sounded. The young man turned his head and saw a beautiful face appear in front of him. He felt as if he had been electrocuted. His body could not move at all. "I'm Lin Yu. What's your name?" The girl smiled. Her voice was as light as a bell. Feng Yuze. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Zichen did not know what Feng Yuze was doing. He stood there in a daze as if he had lost his mind. Sometimes he would laugh, sometimes he would cry. After a while, his expression would become ferocious and he would curse, but soon he would lower his head and admit his mistake. He was like a child who had done something wrong. The light around them did not disperse, but Feng Yuze seemed to have lost his mind. Everyone else stood in place, not moving at all. His expression was slightly solemn. "B asterisk TCH. You're AB asterisk TCH. You actually want to kill me." Feng Yuze suddenly shouted. His expression was full of anger. However, he quickly said again, "I'm sorry. Everything was for revenge. If you weren't my enemy, I wouldn't have treated you like this. Lin Yu, your death actually helped me." Zichen noticed that Feng Yuze's vitality began to fade while he was in a frenzy. The straw cape that had lost its blood could no longer protect his body. Lin Yu watched this scene quietly. Her expression did not change at all. If this was fate, then it was also an ill-fated relationship. She had paid a sufficient price for this. Now it was time for everything to end. Feng Yuze's fading vitality flew to Lin Yu. She absorbed this vitality to stabilize her soul. This was the curse of the Golden Scale royal family. "I'm sorry, Lin Yu. I'm sorry." In the end, Feng Yuze kept apologizing. No one knew what he had seen. His vitality was completely drained. He was like a skeleton. Finally, his body turned into nothingness in the air. At this point, the curse that the Golden Scale royal family had placed on him was removed. However, he had also lost his life. His vitality became the energy for Lin Yu's resurrection. However, she could not control this energy for the time being. He died under the curse and also died in the illusion. This is the method of the Golden Scale royal family. He had unknowingly arrived beside Zichen. Dying in the illusion is also a form of relief. Zichen did not sympathize with Feng Yuze's death. Just the fact that he had betrayed Lin Yu's friendship and killed her to break through was enough for him to deserve death. Not to mention, he had always been up to no good and wanted to scheme against Zichen. Now that Feng Yuze was dead and Lin Yu had been resurrected, it was time for the Golden Scale royal family to leave. At this moment, the little girl turned around and looked at Zichen. This made Zichen's heart tighten. They had heard the secret of the Golden Scale royal family. Was she going to kill them now? Unexpectedly, the little girl pretended to be an elder and said, "Your character is not bad. You did not have any evil intentions towards me. You can live." Little sister, don't be rude. Lin Yu flew up and bowed to Wan He. Thank you for saving me. Wan He waved his hand and said, no need for thanks. Can your people move aside? Those who had cast the illusion on Feng Yuze surrounded Ziqin and the others again. Their eyes were cold and they were ready to attack at any time. The Sea tribe will remember this favor. After leaving the sentence, the proud little girl flew down from the mountain peak. She fell into the lake and turned into the golden scale royal family again. The women who had fallen around and endured the sword intent also jumped down from the mountain peak. It turned out that they were also members of the Sea tribe. You are heading north, right? Maybe we will meet again. See you later. Lin Yu smiled and waved her sleeves as she turned around. The stone steps that led down the mountain exploded one after another. Soul shadows flew out from within and disappeared into the lake. These souls were actually forcefully sealed inside. Chapter 3950. The battlefield was a mess. Only Ziqin and the other three were left. Shanya was still hugging the fish tank. What had happened earlier had a great impact on her mind. Let's go. Wan He spoke, breaking the silence. Ziqin came back to his senses and said, wait. He flew to the surrounding ruins, sometimes picking among them as if he was picking up junk. Of course, he was not picking up junk. He was looking for opportunities, looking for the treasure trove of opportunities in this manner. Yugue also joined in, rummaging around. The little fairy in the dark was giving Ziqin ideas. It consumed a lot of energy every day. Wan He closed his eyes and began to regulate his breath. The previous slashes were powerful. Even if he knew that he could not break the ancient lamp of the soul-devouring clan, he still did not hold back. He let Ziqin continue to attack with full force. It was not all a joke. The brighter the ancient lamp, the more powerful the aura it released. This way it would be more conspicuous, and the sage heavenly mirror could see more clearly. This way, when attacking from a distance, there would not be any mistakes. After rummaging for a while, Ziqin began to search the dead Earth Soul realm experts again. It was a pity that Feng Yuze had turned into nothingness and disappeared. Otherwise, there should be some good stuff on him. When he reminded him, leave the things of the soul-devouring clan. They will come in handy in the future. Ziqin did as he was told. While rummaging, he asked, what's going on? Lan Gumeng and Shan Ye also looked at Wan He. There's something strange here, so I came to take a look. Wan He said, the Golden Scale clan is a kind of sea clan. They belong to a clan other than the soul-devouring clan and soul-hunting clan, but they have always been neutral. However, they will also set up intelligence points in 2 areas. For example, this Water Mountain Villa is one of them. There's one thing that Feng Yuze did not say. The previous lake does lead to the bottom of the sea, but no matter how good the soul-devouring clan or soul-hunting clan are in water, they will not be able to find it. On the shore, their strength is not strong, but in the water, in the sea, they are almost invincible. The golden-scaled tribe is a little special. They would often come ashore and look for the men of the hunting soul tribe. Once they find the one they like, they would wholeheartedly love him and even offer their lives to him. However, once they are betrayed, the betrayer would have to pay with his life. Wan He said whatever was on his mind. Sometimes it's not all bad. After experiencing a betrayal, the road to growth in the future may be smoother. But the secret of the Golden Scale royal family was revealed in front of us. Aren't they worried that we will reveal the secret? Ziqin asked doubtfully. When that time comes, won't everyone learn to endure? The way Wan He looked at Ziqin changed. It was as if he was looking at an idiot. How? You are a descender. So where are you going to leak your secrets? The Golden Scale royal family isn't interested in those 2 girls at all. As for me, I've long reached the Earth Soul realm. Why would I need the Golden Scale royal family? Ziqin said, but we have friends. We will tell them. Wan He sneered. There are millions of legends about Huang Jinlin in the world. There are even more stories that have been passed down for a long time. However, how many people are lucky enough to meet Huang Jinlin? Even if they meet him, how many people are able to obtain his heart? Don't forget, Huang Jinlin is an expert in illusions. How many people can stay true to their hearts? Do you really think that Feng Yuze is an old man? He just lost his vitality. When he was young, he must have been an extraordinary existence. In the end, he betrayed the Golden Scale tribe. Although the main reason was his temperament, Huang Jinlin may have added fuel to the fire. This is equivalent to a trial of the heart, but he failed in the end. After a pause, he said, "Even if it's Huang Jinlin, not everyone can kill and refine him. Otherwise, Feng Yuze would have prepared a scapegoat all these years." Ziqin had finished cleaning up the battlefield. There was no point in staying here any longer. The stone steps that led up were all shattered. The restriction was also broken. The few of them flew into the distance. The commotion from before was not small. Several Earth Soul Realm experts and a dozen Human Soul Realm experts had died. However, it did not affect the horse by the lake at all. This horse was Wan He's. It was unknown where he had bought it from. What was that attack that appeared just now? Lan Gumeng, who had been silent all this time, suddenly asked. Ziqin turned his head. That beam of light from before was a stroke of genius that saved everyone's lives. Could it be that Lan Gumeng did not know? Wan He smiled. "Wasn't that the attack you brought? Why, have you forgotten it so quickly?" Lan Gumeng shook her head and said, "It has nothing to do with me. That power was not summoned by me." Wan He smiled again. "You were just playing with me back then," Lan Gumeng said with certainty. "You first played with Ziqin, then played with me. It's good that you know. Why did you have to say it out loud? Do you know how awkward it is for me?" Wan He said, "Actually, you can't say that I played with you. When I saw that you were so nervous, I just wanted you to ease the atmosphere. Look, didn't everyone relax after you formed the seal?" Lan Gumeng agreed with this explanation. Otherwise, she would really think that he had some special method that she did not know of. Ziqin was a little suspicious. Wan He did often joke around, but at that moment he should not have. However, Wan He did not point it out, and Ziqin did not ask. Flying to the front of the carriage, Wan He patted the horse and said, "Old friend, you're quite calm. We just escaped from death." The horse snorted as if in response. "Recover first, then continue on our journey." After Wan He finished speaking, he flipped over and entered the carriage. It was unknown whether he was recovering or sleeping. Ziqin came to the lakeside and looked at the lake in front of him. The lake was very calm, and occasionally he could see small fish swimming by. Was this place really connected to the bottom of the sea? In addition to the soul hunters and soul devourers, Ziqin learned about the third race in this world today, the Sea Clan. Previously, Lan Gumeng and Shanya had consumed a lot of energy and were now recovering. Ziqin still stood by the lake, looking at the lake in a daze. He had consumed a lot of energy, but he was not in a hurry to recover because he needed someone to guard this place. Wan He had consumed a lot of energy, and Ziqin was sure of that. It seemed that he had only used one strike to kill the powerful soul devourers, but the price he had paid was not small. Therefore, in this situation, Ziqin had to stand up and protect everyone. At the very least, he had to let others know that there was still someone with peak combat power in this team. As for whether there would be someone secretly watching them, Ziqin did not know, but it was always right to be careful. Yu Gui was also slowly recovering because he was full. He squatted by the lake and began to pick up stones, throwing them into the center of the lake. The stones hit the water, causing a dozen ripples, and fell into the center of the lake. In the distance, someone hiding in the dark quietly retreated. Chapter 39:51. Wan He got out of the carriage and stretched. He glanced at Ziqin and said, Don't push yourself." Only then did Zi-Chin sit down cross-legged and recover by the lakeside. Wanhe's gaze was like cold lightning. He glanced around and raised his eyebrows slightly as if he had noticed something. However, after careful investigation, he did not find anything. Wanhe looked at the lake. "Is it the Sea clan?" Lan Gumeng and Shan Ye also recovered. Then, the three of them waited for Zi-Chin. When Zi-Chan recovered, the four of them continued to move forward. However, this time, when he did not train their willpower, they bypassed the huge lake and continued to head north. In the next 2 days, they browsed the scenery along the way. During this time, Wanhe still did not reappear his blade will, even though he appeared to be very relaxed along the way. A few more days passed. Just as they decided to abandon the carriage, they finally walked out of the forest and arrived at the official road. Wanhe sat in the carriage. The three of them followed the carriage, but there was no one in the carriage. Every time Zi-Chin asked to sit in the carriage or speed up in the air, Wanhe refused. In Wanhe's words, "Your good days won't last long. It's better to enjoy the present." Lan Gumeng and Shan Ye seemed to have endless things to say. Along the way, they could always hear the whispers of the two, as well as the occasional bell-like laughter. After a few more days, they got off the official road and walked toward a mountainous area. They did not have a real purpose. They just kept going north. Along the way, they came across a nameless town. Many people gathered at the entrance of the town. They seemed to be looking at something. Lan Gumeng and Shan Ye were very curious and walked forward. Along the way, many gazes fell on the pretty cheeks of the two women. For a moment, everyone was amazed and subconsciously avoided them. Obviously, such beauties had never come to this small place. Compared to the two, the mayor's wife, who was known as the first beauty of the town, was simply an ordinary person and extremely tacky. Zi-Chin glanced at it. It seemed to be a notice, which made him guess in his heart. Could it be a wanted poster? In his life, he had been wanted too many times. Although he had successfully resolved the issue each time, the process was extremely difficult. It could be said that he had narrowly escaped death. At this moment, the two women were looking at the notice while the others were staring at them. Everyone's eyes were filled with uncontrollable amazement. Soon, the two women walked over, and everyone's eyes followed them. "It's a bounty for catching demons," Lan Gumeng said. "It said that there's a place called Gua Village nearby. There are demonic beasts roaming around. Once the demonic beast is caught and its head is brought back, the reward will be 2,000 blue crystal coins." 2,000 blue crystal coins was a huge amount for the people of the town. It was also a rare high-level bounty, but of course, Zi-Chin didn't care. He wanted to leave quickly because the gazes of the surrounding people had already landed on him. All sorts of feelings of envy and jealousy appeared in their eyes. After entering the town, the two of them were still the center of attention, which made the two women quite helpless. In the next moment, a misty light flowed around their bodies, and their real faces could no longer be seen clearly. Even though their appearances could not be seen, their slender figures and hazy faces made them seem even more extraordinary. The gazes that were directed at them increased instead. They entered the town, found a small inn, and stayed for the night. The next day, the sky was bright, and they left the inn. 2,000 blue crystal coins. How can it be so easy to earn? Sigh, a few more people became stupid in just one night. I told you that the demonic beast has extraordinary magical powers, and we shouldn't provoke it. None of them believed it. Look at what happened now. They were still alive yesterday, and now they've become stupid. Along the way, Zi-Chan heard some discussions and saw many people gathering together, pointing and whispering. Shanya and Lan Gumeng, curiously, went up to join in the fun again. Zi-Chen didn't go, but followed Wanhe's carriage. Wanhe didn't even lift his eyelids, as if he didn't hear them. They've really become stupid. It's like they've lost their souls. It's already a miracle that they're still alive. The two who joined in the fun came back and told him what they found. Zichen nodded and didn't say anything else. It said that there's only one demonic beast, and it has such strange magical powers. What kind of demonic beast do you think it is? Lan Gumeng curiously asked. Zichen didn't answer and fell into deep thought. Is there really such a strange demonic beast in this world that doesn't kill, but only devours souls? Lan Gumeng asked again. She didn't expect anyone to answer, and was mostly talking to herself. It could be the soul-devouring beast. A voice suddenly sounded. It was Shanya. She also came from Kata, and she knew more about the soul-devouring beast than Zichen. After all, she had been fighting with the soul-devouring beast since she could remember, and she was very clear about its strange power. Soul-devouring beast, what's that? Lan Gumeng curiously asked. Shanya glanced at Zichen and found that Zichen didn't intend to answer Lan Gumeng's question, so she took the initiative to explain. It's a type of soul-devouring race. Soul-devouring race? Lan Gumeng was slightly surprised. You mean the soul-devouring race we encountered before? High-level soul-devouring beasts can transform, and they become the soul-devouring race. In other words, the soul-devouring beast is the lowest level of the soul-devouring race, Shanya explained. We and the soul-devouring race are irreconcilable enemies. Since we found the soul-devouring beast, we naturally have to deal with it. While the two were talking, Zichen remained silent. Even when Lan Gumeng deliberately raised her voice, Zichen still didn't speak. Shanya, what do you think we should do when we encounter such a situation? Seeing that Zichen didn't respond, Lan Gumeng raised her voice again. It seemed like she was talking to Shanya, but her eyes were looking at Zichen. Shanya was a little troubled and didn't know how to answer. At the same time, she also secretly glanced at Zichen. The soul-devouring beast mainly relies on devouring souls to survive. If we don't deal with it soon, it will harm even more people. Shanya chose to give a compromise answer. It's better for people to die. If they don't die, they will become fools who can't take care of themselves. Not only will they live a life worse than death, but they will also drag down the whole family. That's really pitiful. Lan Gumeng looked at Shanya and said, Shanya, do you think we should leave now? And then allow that soul-devouring beast to turn everyone nearby into idiots? Shanya shook her head. She couldn't bear it. The soul-devouring beast hadn't reached the soul void realm yet. To existences at their level, it was nothing. Even if they took a slight detour, it was a small matter that could be solved with a slash. However, to the people here, this was a big matter. It was a big matter that concerned the destruction of their families. If that's the case, then let's just watch. We have nothing to do anyway. Zichen finally spoke. Chapter 3952. Hearing Zichen's words, Lan Gumeng smiled. As expected, Zichen would not leave them in the lurch. She immediately went to inquire about Gua Village's location. However, that person looked at her with a strange gaze. He even kindly advised her, Miss, don't go to that place. Too many people have been harmed there. Lan Gumeng thanked him for his kindness. When she returned, she told Zichen that they would have to take a detour. However, for them who were in the human soul realm, it was not a problem at all. Zichen looked at Wan He. If he did not want to take a detour, he could continue to head north. The three of them would be able to catch up very quickly. I have nothing to do, and it's quite boring. I'll accompany you to take a look. Wan He drove the carriage away from the town. The carriage started to move quickly, bringing up a cloud of smoke and causing curses to be heard from all around. Zichen and the other two followed behind at a moderate pace. When Zichen first came here from the Kata realm, Shanya and Noah only had a few dozen blue crystal coins on them. Moreover, they were already in the soul illusionary realm at that time. Even when Zichen came, they were still struggling to make ends meet for a period of time. From this, It could be seen that the bounty of 2,000 blue crystal coins was not a small amount. Even though many people had suffered because of it, there were still many people who went to hunt. Along the way, they encountered many small teams heading to Gua Village. When they brushed past those people, Zichen clearly felt the hostile gazes from both sides. Gua Village was not far from the town. When Zichen arrived, there were already dozens of people gathered here. They were in groups of 3 to 5. Some of them were gathered together as if they were negotiating with someone. When he stopped the carriage outside the small village, he did not alight from the carriage. Zichen and the other 2 walked forward. Those who came here were all for the bounty. All of them were martial artists. There were many horses around, but there was only one carriage. At this time it was very conspicuous. Why are there only 200 blue crystal coins? Are the people in your village more important, or are the blue crystal coins more important? There are still 2,000 blue crystal coins on the bounty outside the town. You only took 200. We came all the way here and even risked our lives to help you. Where is your sincerity? I think Gua Village has too few casualties. You only have so many blue crystal coins in your village. Are you planning to kill more people? When Zichen and the other 2 approached, they heard a dissatisfied voice coming from the front. Please don't be offended, heroes. These 200 blue crystal coins are an extra reward to thank you for helping Gua Village get rid of the evil. After killing the demonic beasts, the reward given by the mayor will still belong to the heroes. In front of the crowd stood an old man in his twilight years. He was just an ordinary person. Facing these soul hunters at this moment, he was under a lot of pressure. The old man took out a bag and opened it shakily. The unique brilliance of blue crystal coins was released. This is what we collected from every household in Gua Village. We are not rich, so this is all we have. Heroes, please help us get rid of the evil. The old man bowed deeply to the crowd. However, the crowd did not seem to appreciate it. Their eyes followed the movement of the blue crystal coins. Some of their expressions changed as they looked into the depths of Gua Village. If you want us to get rid of the evil, sure. Give us the 200 blue crystal coins first. We will do it, said the man in the lead. The people around him nodded in agreement. The old man seemed to be in a difficult position. The man continued, If we don't have this much sincerity, how can we get rid of the evil? Or is it that there are too many people in your village and you don't care about dozens or hundreds of idiots? A child quietly peeked out from behind the old man. His clear eyes were filled with terror. The old man patted the child's head gently, indicating that the child should not peek out. The man saw the child and smiled. You look very cute. I wonder if you will be even cuter after becoming an idiot. The child hid behind the old man again. He was so scared that his body was trembling. He said in terror, I don't want to become an idiot. Mom and Dad suddenly became idiots. They don't recognize me anymore. I don't want to become an idiot. Otherwise, there will be no one to take care of Mom and Dad. I don't want to become an idiot, but you won't pay. The other party sneered. Grandpa Village Chief said that you are heroes who get rid of evil for the people. The child cried, Of course we are heroes. But didn't your Grandpa Village Chief tell you that even heroes need to eat, drink, and defecate? Zichen looked at the child. It reminded him of the Catarelm. The child looked very much like little Yangbao. He frowned slightly. These guys did not look like they were here to get rid of evil. They looked more like scourges. Lan Gumeng could not stand it anymore. She walked forward. Just then a voice suddenly sounded. Can you be more shameless? They are already like this. Why are you here to cheat money? Now you are going to destroy a child's hope. I want to ask you, where is your sense of shame? Who is it? Come out. The man's eyes turned cold. He immediately turned around. A middle-aged man walked out. He looked at the other party and said, What can I do for you? A wave of pressure spread out in all directions. Sensing this pressure, those people's faces changed. One of them cried out, "Soul Void! It's the Lord of the Soul Void realm." The middle-aged man's eyes turned cold. "Get lost!" Everyone felt as if they had been pardoned. They immediately retreated, not daring to say a word. In the blink of an eye, the old man's side was empty. The middle-aged man came closer and squatted down. The child looked at the other party timidly. The middle-aged man smiled and said, "Don't be afraid. There are heroes in this world. You have to believe that heroes will get rid of evil for the people." The child pursed his lips, looking a little wronged. The middle-aged man stretched out his hand and patted the child's head gently. They were not heroes earlier. They are the enemies of heroes. They are bad people. They need heroes to punish them. Do you understand? The child nodded and said, "Yes, they are those sinister and cunning villains in the stories. They need heroes to defeat them." The middle-aged man laughed, but the others around could not laugh. Those people earlier had powerful backgrounds. This soul void realm that appeared out of nowhere might not be able to suppress them. The middle-aged man stood up and looked at the old man. "Old man, put these away." These were gathered by the villagers with great difficulty. They are their blood and sweat. "I don't need them, and I can't take them. That demonic beast, I will kill it." Without waiting for the old man to thank him, the middle-aged man turned around. His gaze swept around, and when it landed on Zichin Trio, he paused slightly. Rising into the air, under a series of exclamations, the other party's figure broke through the air and left. Gua village was filled with cheers. A powerful existence that could fly had come. Gua village seemed to have hope. The others followed. Everyone wanted to see the scene of a soul void realm killing a demonic beast. Looks like there are still good people in this world. After everyone left, Lan Gumeng said. Shanya nodded and said, "A soul void realm expert taking action. Dealing with the soul-devouring beast is not a problem at all. Let's go back." She agreed with Lan Gumeng's words. If that soul void realm expert could not be considered a good person, then what could be considered a good person? Zichin said, "Let's go and take a look." The two naturally had no objections. "Big brother, big sister, are you heroes too?" The child from before suddenly mustered his courage and asked. There were only the three of them left. One he stayed in the distance and did not come over. Zichin turned around and said with a smile, "Hero? No, we are not heroes. We are the same as you. There is nothing special." Chapter 3953. To a soul void realm, wanting to find a soul-devouring beast was not difficult. The middle-aged man merely used an hour to find the direction where the soul-devouring beast was hiding. Indeed, it was a soul-devouring beast that had yet to take human form, but its strength also reached Realm 9, just a step away from Soul Void Realm. Of course, Soul Void Realm did not recognize it. In his eyes, this was just a variant beast whose realm was not high. "Beast, prepare to die." The middle-aged man roared angrily and charged towards the soul-devouring beast. A great battle erupted following that. Powerful auras surged. The surrounding large trees snapped one after another. Smoke and dust rose everywhere, fallen leaves dancing wildly. Both sides had a major realm disparity, but this battle actually did not immediately determine the victor. "All hurry up for me. To dare spoil young Master Meng's business. Simply courting death." The man who left previously brought his subordinates to the forest at this moment. The commotion of the battle was enormous. It was hard not to find this place. Apart from the people led by the man, there were also quite a number of people approaching in the direction of the battle from all around. They were all here to watch the battle. Zichin Trio walked at the back. Carriages could not advance in this place. One he did not follow. Soul Void Realm actually can't suppress a Realm 9 soul-devouring beast. This is really rare. Hearing the commotion of the battle, Lan Gumeng said, "Soul-devouring beasts are very powerful. They're adept at soul-devouring arts and are usually a realm stronger than ordinary soul hunters. Unless—" Shan Ya's words paused and gave Ziqin a glance. Probably only an existence like Ziqin could easily finish off a soul-devouring beast of the same rank. Lan Gumeng understood Shan Ya's meaning and said, "Too bad, people with the ability don't plan on taking action." Ziqin said with a smile, "Don't you have the ability too? Why don't you go and help? Didn't you see that I'm preparing to go and rescue?" Lan Gumeng snorted. The smile on Ziqin's face did not diminish. "I saw it. It's just that the battle seems to have already ended. That soul-devouring beast is dead." Indeed, the huge commotion from before suddenly stopped. In between, it was even accompanied by the miserable cry of a soul-devouring beast. That soul void realm won. Lan Gumeng heaved a sigh of relief. Ziqin quickened his pace. "The battle is already over. Why are you still going there? Do you want to see a hero make a triumphant return?" Lan Gumeng asked, "Since you worship heroes so much, why don't you become one yourself? Of course, we're here to watch a good show. If you don't hurry up, you won't be able to watch it." Ziqin's figure left behind a series of afterimages. He had actually used his power. Shanya and Lan Gumeng looked at each other and realized that the situation was serious. They immediately followed him. The soul-devouring beast, which was nearly 20 feet long, fell to the ground motionless. Fresh blood continuously flowed out from its wounds. The soul void realm expert fell beside the soul-devouring beast. His face was extremely pale. There were several deep claw marks on his chest, so deep that his bones could be seen. These were left behind when he exchanged his life with this demonic beast. In his left hand, he held a shiny object tightly. It was not his soul weapon, but the fragment of a sharp weapon. Or rather, it was the fragment of a soul weapon. Although he had reached the soul void realm, he still did not have a soul weapon that belonged to him. This was also the reason why he was unable to suppress his opponent, even though he clearly had the advantage in this battle. Looking at the dead demonic beast in front of him, the soul void realm shook his head and smiled. "You bastard, you can fight quite well. Fortunately, I still exhausted you to death. This time, after getting the reward, counting the blue crystal coins that I saved, I should be able to find a soul weapon. Great hero, let's discuss something. Can you give me the reward?" A mocking laughter came from the forest. The sound of footsteps sounded. More than 10 people walked out from the forest. The one in the lead was the man who was scared away by the soul void realm shout. The soul void realm's expression changed slightly. Not only did he consume a lot of energy in this battle, he was also seriously injured. He had long lost the strength to fight. He did not expect that the other party would actually return. Moreover, it was obvious that they did not come with good intentions. This made him secretly cry out that he was in trouble, but he did not show it. Instead, he said indifferently, "Are you courting death?" The man chuckled and said, trying to scare me, "Let me tell you, I, Meng San of the Tiger Fong Path, do not have any other abilities. My ability to judge people is unique. You are already an arrow at the end of its flight. It is not easy for you to hold on. Do you still have the strength to fight? You are from the Tiger Fong Path?" The soul void realm's expression did not change. His tone was still cold. "Do you know what relationship I have with the Tiger Fong Path?" Meng San walked forward unhurriedly. "Sorry, I am not interested to know. I am not lying to you. I really don't. Even if you are the son of our Pathmaster, it is useless in front of me today." Meng San seemed to be very confident. He waved his hand and a person immediately came forward. He handed over a huge machete with both hands. Meng San took it in his hand and weighed it. He seemed to be very satisfied with the weight. He held the machete in his right hand and said with a smile, "Until now, no one has dared to come over. Do you know why? Because they know where I came from. Right now, They don't even dare to look from afar for fear of causing trouble. After the battle ended, the crowd that was originally pacing back and forth immediately retreated. Meng San was not powerful. In the crowd of onlookers, there were many who could suppress him. However, the Tiger Fong path behind Meng San was powerful. No one dared to provoke them. What kind of person is this old man? Why would he care about such a small amount of blue crystal coins? Meng San held the machete and walked forward. Master Meng San is just too bored and came out to have some fun. While I am at it, I also want to see their miserable appearances. Once I think of cheating them of their money and not helping them eliminate the demon, letting them turn into idiots one by one when they were full of hope, Master San's mood would be very good. Arriving in front of the Soul Void Realm, Meng San placed the machete on his opponent's neck. During this time, the Soul Void Realm struggled a few times but was unable to move his body at all. The soul-devouring beast's methods were far beyond his imagination. It's all your fault. Master San's plan was ruined by you, just like that. Not only that, you actually dared to tell Master San to scram, and even dared to use Master San as a negative example. Tell me, don't you deserve to die? Meng San's eyes flashed with a devouring light. You hurt my heart like this. Tell me, don't you think Master San should kill you? After killing you, shouldn't I go back and chop up that child? Didn't you not want to shatter the hope in his heart? This old man will bring the head of a hero like you back and crush his hope in front of him. Do you think Master San is a negative example? If you want to kill me, then kill me. This matter has nothing to do with others. The Soul Void Realm took a deep breath and said, Don't go looking for trouble with others. They're just ordinary people. Meng San chuckled. Looks like you aren't stupid. You know that after Master San kills you, he will go back and slaughter the entire village. That's right, not a single one of them will live. Even those fools, Master San will kill them. The Soul Void Realm closed his eyes and said in a low voice, Master San, I'm sorry. It's all my Zhangji's fault. I hope Master San won't hold a grudge against me and let the others go. They are just ordinary people and don't dare to go against Master San. What did you say? Did Master San not hear you clearly? Meng San pressed down the saber in his hand and bent down. Say it again for Master San to hear. Master San, I'm sorry. All of this, just as Zhang Ji was apologizing. The saber in Meng San's hand left Zhang Ji's neck. Zhang Ji's body trembled, but his words didn't stop. It's all my Zhang Ji's fault. Master San, you! The saber was raised high and a cold light flashed, chopping towards Zhang Ji's neck. Your voice is too soft. Master San can't hear you. Ha! Meng San's sinister laughter rang out, and in the surroundings, the people brought by Meng San also laughed loudly. I say, the battle hasn't ended and the demon beasts haven't been eliminated. Isn't it too early for you to jump out and be the Oriole? Chapter 3954. The broadsword stopped at Zhang Ji's neck. It did not hurt Zhang Ji at all. This was not Meng San stopping at the last moment. At this time, even if the Tiger Fong sect leader was here, he would not hesitate to slash down with his broadsword. It was a force that stopped him. It was as if someone was standing beside him and grabbing his arm. Around Meng San, the others turned around and gripped their weapons tightly. A young man walked out from where they came from. How dare you interfere in the Tiger Fong sect's matters? Are you looking for death? One of them shouted coldly. He was only at the 6th level. Zichin smiled and said, Everyone, don't misunderstand. I'm not here to be a busybody. I'm just here to tell you guys out of goodwill that the battle is not over. The mission to kill the demon is not over yet. You guys are early. I've heard your words. Now scram. Meng San glanced at the corpses on the ground, then looked at Zichin and said coldly. Shanya and Lan Gumeng followed. After he saw the two women, Meng San's eyes lit up and he said, Out of consideration for your meddling in other people's business, third master will repay you this once. I'll kindly accept these two beauties for you. Scram right now. If I see you again in the future, I'll definitely kill your entire family to vent my anger." At this time, Mang San could already control the broadsword in his hand again. It seemed like he was talking to Zichen, but the broadsword in his hand suddenly turned and slashed down with all his strength. Mang San knew very well that if he did not kill the Soul Void Realm expert today, he would not have a future. This was his only chance. If he allowed the other party to live, he would definitely suffer a fate worse than death in the future. "I told you, you're in too much of a hurry. The demon hunting battle is not over yet." Zichen's voice sounded again. Suddenly, a shadow appeared in front of Mang San. At the same time, an oppressive aura surged toward him. Sensing this aura, Mang San's body involuntarily trembled, and he could no longer slash down. This time it was not Zichen's doing. Mang San raised his head and looked at the black shadow. It was a huge creature that was close to 30 meters in size. Previously, Zhang Ji had only killed a small one. Now there was a big one. Mang San was dumbfounded. The people he brought with him felt that something was wrong and turned around one after another. When they saw the huge creature, they were even more scared and stood on the spot. They didn't even have the strength to run. This enormous soul-devouring beast did not roar in anger. Instead, it slowly moved forward. Within its ice-cold eyes, there seemed to be a hint of playful brutality. Zhang Ji's face also turned pale. Just from the aura, he knew that this was not something he could fight against. The news did not say that this demonic beast was so powerful. Shanya's expression changed. According to her understanding of the soul-devouring beast, as long as it could reach the Soul Void Realm, it could transform into a member of the soul-devouring clan. The aura of this soul-devouring beast was equivalent to the human soul realm. Why did it not transform? Or was it deliberately using its beast form? Lan Gumeng was also shocked. There was suddenly a hint of coldness in the eyes of the soul-devouring beast. A whirlwind appeared around its body and swept forward. Right at this moment, Zichin moved. He stretched out his palm, and a soul light flew out from his palm. Like a spirit snake, it wrapped around Zhang Ji's body and brought him back. As the whirlwind approached, Mang San's robes fluttered gently, and his hair fluttered. He stood there motionless, but his life force had been devoured. The large blade in his hand fell to the ground. He did not even have the qualifications to be an idiot. His soul was directly taken away, and he died on the spot. Zhang Ji's face was filled with fear. If it was not for the other party saving him in time, he would have died like Mang San. The others who followed Mang San reacted and wanted to run away. The whirlwind appeared again. It was black and extended in all directions. Zichin stood in place, and Zhang Ji stood behind him. Zichin did not move, but Zhang Ji's expression was changing. But soon he became determined. He did not move either. The people that Mang San brought fell one after another. Like Mang San, their souls were directly devoured and they died. There was no possibility of survival. A whirlwind also came from Zichen's side, but just as it approached Zichin, it disappeared into thin air. When the few survivors who followed Mang San saw this, they immediately ran toward Zichin as if they had grasped at a life-saving straw. "Sir, save me!" As they ran, they shouted. Zichin stood there, indifferent. This time, even Lan Gumeng and Shan Ye looked on coldly. The soul-devouring beast swooped forward. The whirlwind in the forest became a hurricane, and the black soul-devouring power spread in all directions. The originally bright forest immediately became dark. Banging sounds could be heard from time to time. Zhang Ji's face was filled with fear. He stood behind Zichin, not daring to move. Just when he felt that his soul could be taken away by the black wind at any time, he saw a protective light containing a domineering aura appear from all directions, protecting him. The young man in front of him was still standing there. His body was as motionless as a mountain. No matter how the black wind raged, it could not get close to him. And in the wilderness, there were continuous screams. It was the people who had retreated before. For some reason, they did not leave. Now, their souls were being taken away. All of a sudden, the surging black wind became even more intense. It was the huge monster beast that was flying towards them. The young man who was originally motionless suddenly took a step forward. The ground around him shook, and a strong aura surged out from the young man's body. The light of thunder bloomed, and the surroundings that were originally covered by the black wind suddenly became bright. The young man punched out. With a loud bang, the monster that was hit in the head flew backward. The black wind immediately dispersed, and the world returned to normal. Zhang Ji looked around and found that there were only 4 survivors, including him. The others were all dead. After the monster landed, it rolled a few times. As if it knew that it was no match, it turned around and ran. Zichen's eyes had a trace of surprise. He had restrained a part of his strength before. It seemed that he had knocked the monster back with one punch, but the monster was not injured at all. Did it want to run? Was it too timid? Or was it luring the enemy in? Zichen glanced at Zhang Ji behind him and said, "You guys stay here. I'll go up and take a look." Shanya took out an elixir and put it aside. Her figure flashed, and she followed up. She did not know why, but the appearance of this soul-devouring beast made her feel very unwilling. "Hero, that's your reward. You can exchange it for blue crystal coins." Lan Gumeng pointed at the soul-devouring beast in the distance, and then at the dead people. "These are also your trophies." After saying that, she also left. Zhang Ji was left standing alone in a daze. He could faintly smell a fragrant wind. "Hero!" After a moment, he came back to his senses and laughed at himself. Chapter 3955. Zhang Ji knew about the Tiger Fong path. It was the largest faction here with a good reputation. However, it was his first time meeting someone like Meng San. Meng San had died long ago. It would be a waste not to take the money he had on him. As for the other things, he did not take them. Of course, he did not dare to take them. He looked around and found that many people had died. "Your luck is still a bit worse than mine." Zhang Ji looked at the dead people and sighed. Didn't they leave already? Why didn't they go further away? If these people had left earlier, they would not have died here. He searched their bodies and found some blue crystal coins. It was not a lot, but it was better than nothing. After doing all this, he did not leave. Instead, he looked in the direction Zichin and the other 2 left. Would the 3 of them be able to kill the escaping beast? The soul-devouring beast's speed of escape exceeded Zichen's expectations. Fortunately, he was not slow either. Shanya and Lan Gumeng followed behind like 2 streaks of rainbow light. "Didn't I ask you to guard there?" Zichin said. Shanya and Lan Gumeng shook their heads at the same time. "It's speeding up. We have to be faster too." Zichin did not ask any more questions. He sped up and chased after the soul-devouring beast. Shanya and Lan Gumeng were on the left and right respectively. Beside Lan Gumeng, a beam of sword light whizzed forward and flew forward. The soul-devouring beast seemed to have sensed danger and began to flee in an arc. The flying sword light pierced through trees. Those in the human soul realm can already transform. It doesn't seem to have the ability to transform. Its intelligence is also not as good as the soul-devouring clan. Shanya stared at the soul-devouring beast ahead. Zichin also noticed this problem. The opponent seemed to be a soul-devouring beast. However, the human soul realm strength could not be faked. Since it was already in the human soul realm, why couldn't it transform? The sword light was getting closer and closer to the soul-devouring beast. The soul-devouring beast seemed to be getting anxious. When it reached a cliff, it jumped down without hesitation. The sword light whizzed past and followed closely behind. In an instant, the sword light returned with a few drops of blood on it. Zichin and the others followed and stood above the cliff. The bottom of the cliff was empty. A few drops of blood fell to the bottom of the cliff. The soul-devouring beast seemed to have disappeared into thin air, its whereabouts unknown. It's gone. Zichin looked around. Could it be that it has learned the invisibility technique? Zichen's gaze slowly moved around his surroundings. At the same time, he used his soul power to investigate every single corner. Suddenly, his pupils constricted as he discovered something unusual. At the same time, Lan Gumeng and Shan Ye also seemed to have discovered something. A light flashed beside Zichin and Wan He appeared. How is it? Zichin pointed at a certain spot on the cliff and said, there are some abnormal spatial fluctuations there. It should be hidden there. After he finished speaking, his figure descended and arrived at the abnormal spot. He then threw a punch at it. Waves of ripples surged out. Zichen's fist force dissipated, and a light screen appeared in front of him. The light screen seemed to be connected to another place, and Zichen's fist force had all converged into it. Zichin was slightly stunned. He subconsciously stretched out his hand and saw his palm easily pass through the light screen. He immediately withdrew his hand and turned around. Something strange. Lan Gumeng and Shan Ye flew over. Wan He was relatively slow. Zichin told the three of them about his discovery. Shan Ye and Lan Gumeng went forward one by one to try and found that they could pass through. But to be careful, the three of them did not rush in rashly. Instead, they looked at Wan He. With this powerhouse here, it was natural for him to take the lead. Wan He stretched out his hand and did not touch the ripples. Moreover, the ripples that appeared before had disappeared. Wan He withdrew his hand and smiled. Interesting. What do you mean? Asked Zichin. If I'm not wrong, this should be a space with restrictions on cultivation level. I can't enter with my cultivation level, said Wan He. In other words, those below the Earth Soul realm can enter. Asked Zichin. His tone was much more relaxed. Now he was almost certain that the soul-devouring beast had been hiding in this place. Perhaps the one that died earlier was also a soul-devouring beast from this place. And as long as it was a human soul realm cultivator, Zichin was not worried. Even if there were all kinds of dangers, he was still confident that he could make the trip. Wan He tried again and nodded. Yes, that's it. Lan Gumeng asked, so it's very likely that there's a place of opportunity inside? Wan He looked ahead and said, this kind of place is very rare. No one can guarantee what's inside. It could be an opportunity, or it could be danger. Wan He looked at Zichin again. What do you plan to do? Zichin thought for a moment and said, let's go in and take a look. Whether it's good or bad, that soul-devouring beast must be killed. Otherwise, with it here, this area can forget about living in peace. Shan Ye and Lan Gumeng also nodded. Whether there was an opportunity inside or not, that was a question for later. That soul-devouring beast must be killed. Moreover, they had another guess in their hearts. Perhaps there was a group of soul-devouring beasts inside, and that could be their nest. Wan He had no objections to this, but he instructed the three of them to be more careful. Zichin was the first to enter. Shan Ye and Lan Gumeng followed closely behind. This was a space that was not very big. The grass was green, and one could see the end of it at a glance. The energy in this area was very abundant, and it could be considered a good place of opportunity. As expected, the group of soul-devouring beasts did not appear. Other than the grass, there was nothing else. Look there. Shan Ye pointed into the distance. At the end of their line of sight, there was a black dot. That was the only abnormality here. The three of them flew forward, and the black in their line of sight gradually enlarged. It turned out to be a building. The soul-devouring beast of the human soul realm was not in their field of vision, so it should have entered that building. The building was 2 stories tall, like a manor. The door had been destroyed by force, which seemed to be the work of the soul-devouring beast. Arriving outside the building, Zichen looked down and released his soul power. There was no abnormality, nor was there any danger. The destroyed entrance was like another space passage. He did not know where it led, and his soul power could not detect it. After a slight hesitation, Zichen said, "I'll go in and take a look first." His figure landed and light flashed in his hands. For safety reasons, the staff and shield appeared at the same time. Zichen cautiously entered. The two of them stood outside and waited patiently. There were no signs of battle. After about 10 breaths, Lan Gumeng, who did not see Zichen come out, flew down. She flashed in. After 5 breaths, Shanya also walked in. Shanya, who came in, was very careful, but did not encounter any danger. She saw Zichen and Lan Gumeng standing there looking ahead. Shanya curiously walked forward and stood side by side with the two. A bright light entered her eyes. The light was constantly changing, which was emitted by the miracle stone. There was actually a miracle stone here. Chapter 3956. He stood at the edge of the cliff, quietly waiting for the return of Zichen and the others. Discovering a small space with a cultivation realm restriction in this place should be considered an opportunity. However, for some reason, he felt a little uneasy in his heart. This was also the reason why he left the carriage and came here. A ray of light appeared in front of Wan He. It was an old man. He looked at Wan He and said with a smile, "Are you waiting for someone?" Wan He's expression changed. The old man said with a smile, "It seems that it's true. However, I feel that the person you're waiting for might not appear." Wan He glanced down. The ripple passage was still there, but the bad feeling in his heart had become stronger. In the space that only human soul realm experts could enter, 2 young men appeared out of thin air. To be able to reach this place, the 2 of them were obviously human soul realm experts. At this moment, the 2 young men looked at the building in front of them. One of them couldn't help but sneer. "This time, in order to deal with you, we didn't hesitate to pay a huge price. We gave up a small world and even took out a miracle stone. No matter how careful you are, you will never expect that this is a trap." The other party said coldly, "Therefore, all of you have to die. You must die. I didn't expect your Lan family to have such a strong foundation." At this moment, Shanya had just entered the building. Just as the 3 of them were looking at the miracle stone, the young man from the Lan family snapped his fingers. In an instant, the building where Zichen was hiding exploded. Powerful energy instantly flooded the surroundings. The building was reduced to ruins. Looking at the rolling energy in front of him, the young man sneered, "Let's see if you can survive this." That building is completely made of explosive talismans. Even an Earth Soul Realm expert will probably die if they enter. The man next to him said, "Your Lan family is so well prepared. Why did you come to our Shah family?" The young man from the Lan family said, "The reason why we asked you to come is just to be safe. That Zichen guy is extremely strange. We've tried to kill him many times, but he managed to escape every single time. You're worried that he's not dead?" The existence from the Shah family said, "Is that possible?" "It's almost impossible, but it's never wrong to be careful." The young man from the Lan family said, "This should be our last time, so we can't make any mistakes. Otherwise, you and I won't be able to go back." The person from the Shah clan smiled faintly. "You are too sensitive, this." His smile suddenly disappeared, and he couldn't say the following words. Amidst the tumbling energy, a ray of light appeared. It was a protective light shield activated by a saint talisman. Zichen and the other 2 were standing inside the light shield. How could this be? The man from the Shah family cried out in alarm. "Didn't you guys plan this meticulously? How could he fail? Even the Earth Soul Realm experts inside are all dead. So why are the 3 human soul realm experts still alive?" The young man from the Lan family was also in disbelief when he said, what if earlier he was just being polite? At the same time, he also wanted to let the people of the Shah family see the true strength and background of their lineage. Who would have thought that Ziqin actually didn't die? Their setup was very ingenious. There was a threat in the opportunity, so it shouldn't have been discovered in advance. Moreover, once the explosive talisman was activated, even if Ziqin reacted, he wouldn't be able to defend in time. Even if he activated the 100-soldier light shield, it wouldn't work. He would die in an instant. All of this had been planned, but why had Ziqin reacted so quickly? What was the origin of that saint talisman? How could it block the attack of the explosive talisman? Could it be that he had been holding it in his hand all along? The saint talisman was a gift from the mountain lord of Saint Talisman when he left the sacred mountain. Ziqin didn't use it all the way. He only took it out at the critical moment. There was one thing that the young man from the Lan family guessed right, and that was that Ziqin had been secretly holding the Saint Talisman in his hand. Just as the building exploded and the miracle stone exploded, Ziqin activated the Saint Talisman without hesitation. Then, without any hesitation, he activated the second and third talisman. As soon as the light of the first Saint Talisman appeared, it was destroyed by the terrifying energy. The second talisman didn't last long either. Immediately after, the third talisman dissolved the remaining energy. If Ziqin hadn't been decisive enough to activate the 3 Saint Talismans in an instant, the 3 of them would have died even if they were vigilant. The violent energy around them dissipated. The Saint Talisman in front of Ziqin also consumed the last bit of energy and shattered. The figures of the 3 appeared. At this moment, Lan Gumeng and Shan Ye's faces were pale. Especially after seeing the 2 people in the distance, they felt even more scared. This was a trap specially set up to target them. From the moment the soul-devouring beast appeared, this trap was set up. The person who set up the trap was waiting for them to take the bait. They didn't know if that hero Zhangji was an accomplice of the person who set up the trap. Fortunately, Ziqin reacted quickly and saved their lives. As the energy dissipated, Ziqin walked forward. A small world and a miracle stone. You've really invested a lot, but I'm sorry you failed. In the sky, the people of the Lan family and the Shah family had ugly expressions. Ziqin said, "Don't think about escaping. You won't be able to escape. For your respective families, fighting to the death here is the best ending." Humph. You're lucky that you didn't die earlier. I'd like to see how strong you are to be so arrogant. The man from the Shah family waved his hand, and light appeared in the dark. There were more than 20 human soul realm experts hiding in the dark. Looking at those human soul realm experts who were seething with killing intent, Ziqin shook his head with a look of pity. This was the world of the human soul realm. Only those in the human soul realm could come here. Under such circumstances, facing Ziqin at his peak was simply courting death. Moreover, besides Ziqin, there were 2 extremely angry Lan Gumeng and Shanya. One of them was a divine soul goddess, and the other was a god's chosen one. The battle broke out. Although these existences from the Shah family were all prepared and had many tricks up their sleeves, they were nothing in front of the 3 of them. The young man from the Lan family had a look of despair. When he saw that Ziqin was unharmed, he had already lost all hope. Now, looking at this devastating battle, he was even more disheartened. His plan this time had failed again, and just as Ziqin said they couldn't go back. Even if it wasn't for himself, he had to protect his family from being implicated. Gritting his teeth, he charged forward and faced death with equanimity. And he was indeed dead. None of the human soul realm experts who appeared here could leave alive. Beside the cliff, one he couldn't help but frown as he listened to the old man's nagging. The old man smiled and said, "Why? You don't like it? Do you think I'm spouting nonsense and that they can still come out alive? You're so stupid. I really don't know how you reached the Earth Soul realm. One, he said impatiently. I don't know if they can come out, but you talk too much nonsense. With that, Juan, he struck out with his saber. With a flash of golden light, the old man's body was split into two. Take it that I, Juan, he am begging you. Before coming, I beg you to do your homework and see who you're facing. Imitating an elder's nagging in front of me. Aren't you old men eating arsenic? Juan, he continued to strike, this time from the side. The saber light entered the void, and there were ripples surging. The Earth Soul Realm expert, hidden in the dark, was killed with a single strike. Then, Juan, he slashed out a third time. Chapter 39:57. 3 blades, 3 people, 3 Earth Souls. Sheathing his blade, when he looked at the incomplete corpses on the ground and shook his head. Where did these country bumpkins come from? Back when Juan he attacked the Fong clan. Even the Fong clan's patriarch didn't dare to stop them and let them leave. But this time the enemy had actually only sent 3 Earth Soul Realm experts. This gave Juan he sufficient reason to guess that these people were ignorant and inexperienced. After killing 3 Earth Souls who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth, when he looked at the rippled passage ahead with some worry in his eyes, he could look down on the 3 Earth Souls, but he had to admit that the enemy's trap was exquisite. Even he couldn't see through it. It was a well-prepared trap, and he didn't know if Zichen could resolve it. That kid doesn't look like someone with a short life. He won't die here, right? One he muttered in his heart. At this moment, ripples surged in front of him, and someone walked out. One his eyes narrowed, and a chill appeared in his eyes. But when he saw who it was, the chill in his eyes dissipated and he smiled. It was Zichen. I thought you died in there, when he joked. I almost died. This is a real sure-kill situation. It can only be said that I was lucky to be able to come back. Zichen didn't smile, and his expression became very serious. Sure kill. The smile on Wan He's face also disappeared. Zichen nodded. This time he was really lucky. Shanya and Lan Gumeng also had lingering fears. If it wasn't for Zichen, the 2 of them would have died. At the same time, Lan Gumeng's face was also filled with guilt. I'm sorry. They came because of me. I can sense the Lan clan's aura. Even though those people didn't report their names, Lan Gumeng naturally knew their identities with her perception of the Lan clan's power. The reason why these people came was entirely because of Lan Gumeng. Until now, the Lan clan still hadn't given up on hunting her down. Zichen and Shanya were innocently implicated. Lan Gumeng felt even more ashamed when she thought about how she was the one who insisted on coming here to catch the demon. Zichen said, You don't have to blame yourself. This is related to you, but it's not entirely your fault. We were able to escape death this time because we had the help of an expert. The help of an expert? Lan Gumeng was very puzzled. Where was the expert this time? Wan He? Zichen wouldn't use that word to describe it, would he? Zichen glanced at Shanya. Shanya was puzzled, but she quickly reacted. She thought of the Ghost King. Although she had only caught a glimpse of him, it had still affected her state of mind. So she told Zichen. Could it be that Zichen was on guard because of this? Zichen didn't say it explicitly, and Shanya didn't ask again. Because the Ghost King might be related to that mysterious young man, and that mysterious young man had extraordinary magical powers. At least until now, Shanya had never seen an existence who could suppress another's realm through rules. Zichen nodded. Everything was in silence. Zichen didn't care whether the person Shanya saw was the Ghost King or not. He also didn't intend to ask why the Ghost King helped him. He thought of something. When he was breaking through to the next realm in Kata, a voice sounded in his sea of consciousness. It was a woman's voice, indifferent and emotionless. It was at that time that he obtained the technique to summon the underworld ghost. The underworld ghost that followed helped him resolve many crises. On the trip to the sacred mountain, It transformed into a real existence with flesh and blood. After that, the voice never appeared again. This time, the Ghost King appeared in Shan Ya's vision. There was definitely an expert helping him, but Zichen couldn't guess who it was. Fortunately, Shanya took that warning seriously, and so did he. In fact, when he saw Feng Yu the last time, Zichen had guessed whether this was a trap. The reason why he didn't refine the Emperor Gold Scale was related to his temperament, but also to his caution. Even if he did refine it in the end, he wouldn't do it in the water manner. He would leave and find a safe place. Zichen noticed the corpses around him, but his expression didn't change much. Since the other party came prepared, they would naturally send out Earth Soul Realm experts. However, they only sent 3 of them. They were underestimating Wan He too much. Zichen went forward and searched, but didn't find any wealth. However, he did find 3 soul weapons. It was just that the 3 powerful Earth Soul experts didn't even have time to use their soul weapons before they died under Wan He's blade. Let's go. Wan He turned, and the 4 of them walked back the way they came. On the way, they met Zhang Ji. He hadn't left yet. Shanya and Lan Gumeng's expressions changed slightly. This demon-killing trip was clearly a trap, and this Zhang Ji might be a part of it. When Zhang Ji saw the 3 of them, he said, excitedly, "You guys are fine." "That's great. Why haven't you left yet?" Zichen asked. Zhang Ji said, embarrassedly, "I only killed a small one. The real great demon didn't die." Zichen said, "Now that it's dead, you've completed your mission." This made Zhang Ji even more embarrassed. Zichen threw something to Zhang Ji. It was a soul weapon. It was a mortal soul expert's weapon. Zhang Ji subconsciously caught it. After seeing the soul weapon, he was stunned and puzzled. You need a weapon to be chivalrous. A smile appeared on Zichen's face. Don't feel embarrassed. Just try your best to help more people in the future. However, when helping others, you have to do what you can. If the person dies, then there's nothing left. I understand. Zhang Ji nodded. Holding the soul weapon, he cupped his fists at Zichen. After swallowing the elixir Shanya gave him, he, who had recovered from his injuries, carried the dead soul-devouring beast and flew away. Lan Gumeng and Shanya, who had been on guard, finally relaxed. They had always thought that Zhang Ji might be an accomplice. A person who doesn't want to destroy a child's hope will not wallow in the mire with those people. Zichen looked at Zhang Ji's departing figure with a sincere smile on his face. The carriage was just outside the forest. It had left Gua village at some point. Next, it was time to leave. However, Zichen glanced at Gua village's direction and felt a little sorry for them. Wan He looked at Zichen, who suddenly stopped. Zichen said, "After all, this started because of us. Speaking of which, we also caused them to become like this. They are all innocent. Do you have a way to save them?" Zichen didn't care about the deaths of those who were in the forest. However, those ordinary people who had lost their souls did not deserve to suffer such torment. Shanya and Lan Gumeng also nodded. They felt very apologetic. "You want to be a good person. Why are you dragging me into this?" Wan He curled his lips. "We don't have the strength. Who asked you to be a great expert?" Zichen chuckled and sighed in relief. It seemed that Wan He had a way. "So what if he's a great expert? Isn't he still a tool for you? You're a hero in our hearts. Bullshit hero. Whoever wants to be a hero can be one." Wan He walked towards Guisiyuan, and the horse followed behind him obediently. Chapter 3958. The old man was still standing at the entrance of Gua village. His wrinkled face was filled with worry. The commotion earlier was quite loud, accompanied by occasional screams. It seemed that something unexpected had happened. This made the old man even more uneasy. Little Bean was still standing beside the old man. His small hands clutched the corner of the old man's clothes tightly. His eyes were filled with tears. The screams made him tremble in fear. After the screams, there was a long period of silence. Some of the lucky survivors screamed, "Dead! They're all dead!" Then they ran away in fear. Does the heavens want Gwvillage to die? What sin has my Gwvillage committed? The old man raised his head and cried. He was on the verge of despair. "Grandpa, someone's coming." Little Bean saw several people walk out of the forest. The old man looked over and saw 4 people walking towards him. He remembered that one of the 4 didn't come over. The other 3 were the last to leave. At that time, Little Bean asked the young man a question. Little Bean didn't understand the young man's answer. When Little Bean asked about it later, the old man didn't understand either. "Old man, you're safe now. That monster is dead." Seeing the old man's nervous expression, Zichin said when he was about 10 feet away, "Really?" The old man couldn't believe it. Zichin smiled and nodded. "It can't be any more real." "That's great. The heavens have eyes. The heavens have eyes." The old man cried tears of joy. He was about to tell the rest of the village. "Little Bean, come with me." But after taking a few steps, the old man came to his senses. He turned around and said, "Young hero, thank you for saving Gwvillage. This is a token of our appreciation. Please accept it." The old man excitedly took out the blue crystal coin and handed it to Zichin with both hands. "We didn't kill the monster. We can't accept it." Zichin waved his hand. The old man was startled. "We're here to check on the unconscious villagers. This senior of mine happens to be an expert in medicine. We'll see if he can be of any help." Zichin pointed at Wan He. The old man was naturally delighted, but he soon said with difficulty, "Young hero, to tell you the truth, Gwvillage doesn't have any money left. Previously, many doctors came because of your fame, but they—" "Don't worry, we won't prescribe medicine, and we won't ask for money. If we can't save everyone, we'll leave. If we can help, we'll help for free." Zichin smiled. He naturally understood the other party's concerns. Thinking about it, there should be a lot of doctors visiting this place during this period of time. There might be some who sincerely wanted to save people, but there should also be many who wanted to take advantage of the situation and make money. The old man shed tears of gratitude and warmly invited them into the village. At the same time, he told everyone the good news. Of course, Zichin told everyone that the one who killed the demonic beast was Zhang Ji. Little Bean was very excited because, in his eyes, Zhang Ji himself was a great hero. He went to see the patients. Of course, he said that he was going to see them, but in fact, it was just for show. Zichin was very clear about everyone's condition. "Big brother, you're a hero too." Zichin sat in the village chief's courtyard and looked up at the sunset. Little Bean came closer and said excitedly. Zichin gestured for Little Bean to sit next to him. The child was a bit reserved. "I'm not a hero. I'm just an ordinary person like you." Zichin patted Little Bean's head and said with a smile, "Your friend can save my parents and the others in the village. He's a hero and you're a hero's friend. Of course, you're a hero too." Little Bean clearly didn't agree with Zichin's words. He forcefully explained, "Because a friend of a hero can only be a hero." Zichin smiled and said, "A hero only does one or a few meaningful things and receives everyone's recognition. That's why they're called heroes. In fact, before doing these things, heroes are just ordinary people like you and me." Little Bean was clearly very smart. He asked, "Big brother, you mean I can also be a hero?" "Of course, when you do something meaningful one day, you'll be a hero in everyone's heart." Looking at the gradually disappearing sun, Zichin said, "But you have to remember, heroes have to live first." Zichin thought of Zhang Ji. He only came here for the bounty and didn't want to be a hero. However, he didn't want to see a child's hope be destroyed so early, so he stepped forward to be a hero. However, he almost lost his life because of this. Although it wasn't very rational, Zichen didn't think Zhang Ji was wrong. This was also why he was willing to give him a high-grade soul weapon. This world needed people like him. In other words, only when there were more people like him could the world become better. Zhang Ji was someone who could make the world better. Pang Chong was the same back then. Zhang Ji returned. When he saw Zichen, he was very surprised. He immediately wanted to bow to Zichen, but Zichen waved his hand. As for Little Bean, he looked at Zhang Ji with eyes full of worship. Zichen smiled and said, "Hero, I'll have to trouble you to make another trip to the town. Say that Gua village has a godly doctor who can save those who have lost consciousness. However, the godly doctor will only stay here for tomorrow and will leave the day after tomorrow. During this day, he will treat everyone for free." As a soul void realm expert, Zhang Ji was very clear about the situation of those who had lost their souls. He didn't expect that this young man could actually revive their souls. It had to be said that this was very impressive. Therefore, this great hero didn't even have time to enjoy the worship of the villagers before he flew to the town again and spread the news. A day's time was enough for those people to revive. The sky was approaching. Zhang Ji, who had walked back and forth, returned and came to Zichen's temporary residence. "Thank you very much for today's matter." Zhang Ji thanked him again. Zichen gestured for him to sit down and said, "How much do you know about the Tiger Fang sect?" Tiger Fang sect? Zhang Ji was slightly stunned. He didn't expect this lord to ask this question. Zichen said, "Tell me everything you know, good or bad." The Tiger Fang sect is the largest faction here. The sect master is a human soul realm expert. It's said that his combat strength is very strong. Zhang Ji told him everything he knew about the Tiger Fang sect. There was almost nothing good. Instead, they suppressed many merchants and did many evil things. However, it wasn't too evil. For example, Meng San's situation. Zhang Ji told him the truth. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation. The other party's personality was twisted. He took pleasure in killing people. Furthermore, Zhang Ji told Zichen that Meng San might be from the Tiger Fang sect. Perhaps he was a direct descendant of the Tiger Fang sect. He might have made a mistake, so he came to this place. That night, Zichen left his room and went to the Tiger Fang sect. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.